So Kevin and Pete, here's your live podcast in its entirety, almost 2.5 hours. And if either one of you decide to strike this video, I'm going to get an email from YouTube. And if I get an email from YouTube, your personal information is going to be on it, and I'm going to make it public. And I will blast it to you online, because now you got something to hide. Have a good day and enjoy.
Bears, you name it. Like, these are not soft dogs.
Right.
But there's no corrections involved in the Tibetan raising of these dogs. None at all. It is guidance, it is trust, it is mutual respect, and the owner is there as a calm presence to the dogs. It's a fantastic little story. And this goes for any person I've worked with who's got a dog that's reactive in the home, barking at stuff that's going on outside the front. It's the same thing. The calm presence of the human turning up to the front of the house, acknowledging the problem with the dog, don't even have words to say. Most of the time, the Tibetan owners don't say anything to the dogs when the dogs are reacting to something coming into their space. The owner's presence, he'll go up to the dog, he'll acknowledge the thing that's being barked at, he might touch the dog somewhere with a gentle, you can touch on top of the head with your dog, or you can just touch on the side. And that calm presence of the owner settles everything down, because at the core, there is a bond based on mutual trust and respect. The owner does not come out shouting out their caravan or their tent, shouting at the dog, or yanking on the leash, or giving a slap upside the head. It is entirely the wrong thing to do, and that's where my philosophy goes into. So relationship is everything. If you can calm a ferocious Tibetan Mastiff down just by your calm presence, the most independent dog breed in the world, by the way, also, we'll get into that, set free at night, completely set free, off leash, go do your guarding job in whatever sized farm, which is not fenced in, usually in the Himalayas. Go do your job. They're in packs. They're not usually individual animals. It's usually 3 or 4 of them in a pack. They go do their job free. They're set free at night. There's no leash on them. There's no recall. The dogs come back to the owners. Now, hang on a minute. How do you achieve that? These are independent dogs. What? What do you mean you just literally take the leash off overnight and off they go to do their job, go guard, kill whatever unwanted predator comes into the park, which is unlikely. They generally don't kill them. I mean, if you've ever seen a video of a snow leopard having a pop with Tibetan Mastiffs, like, it takes 5 of these dogs to shoo off one snow leopard. Like, the snow leopards are serious animals, so they don't tend to get into it. They just make the good enough display and maybe a warning bite or two in the squabble, and the predators go away. So they're not predator killers generally. Coyotes, maybe, if you're in the US and you've got these dogs, they might go after the small ones, but generally speaking, they're more of a deterrent. So they make a lot of noise. But still, the point stands, they are known as the most independent breed in the world, and the owners can set them free and the dogs willingly come back. How, why, what? That's what I went to understand when I started doing a real deep dive into the breed. What does that mean for how we do things in the West? And it's very different. And the Tibetans will genuinely laugh at you if you say, I train my dog to behave. Yeah. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because it's a complete antithesis to their philosophy. But that's how I go into things with clients. So look at it from, I want you to have the relationship with your dog, which is so strong and so close that you don't really need to speak. Like, you need a relationship that the dog wants to be around you, wants to follow you, doesn't have behavioral problems because it trusts you. That's what we're trying to get to. That's why I don't do dog training. I'm not interested in telling a dog to sit, stay, come here. I don't even teach that.
I don't either.
I had a good challenge on this, actually. Let me just go recall quickly. Sure. So I had a really good challenge. I was in Facebook group one day talking about I don't train recall, I don't do recall, yada. And someone came back at me with what? What do you mean? I just showed you a clip of me walking out in public with my dog off leash and him following me. It's not recall. Yeah, it is. You are the environment that your dog cares about. You're moving away. What do you think your dog's doing? It's recalling to the environment where it feels comfortable and safe and where it wants to be. That's an interesting way of thinking about it. So by me moving and changing the dog's environment, I am in fact doing a recall, even though there's no words involved. Roller keeps an eye on me, and you've seen the video, me live with him, and he just follows me along. Mm-hmm. But in some technical terms, that is a recall. Oh, that's very interesting. Okay. I'll take that one on the chin. Fine.
I know what you mean.
You do it.
I've never like taught recall either. I've experienced the same things with my dogs, where if I build a particular relationship with them, and this is the thing I make the distinction on my channel of, it's not about having a good relationship, it's about having the right relationship. So if I have the right relationship, then I don't have to teach recall. I don't have to train the dog to follow me. Wherever I go, the dog just the dog will just follow. I don't have to say anything to it. It just moves with me. And I've had so many clients that go to traditional obedience classes, if you will. And this is where I started to notice this huge problem that we have, especially in the West, is, people think, or they're led to believe, that if I take my dog to obedience classes, I'll have an obedient dog, and it just does not work that way. You could teach the dog sit, stay, come, whatever, but that doesn't mean the dog sees you the right way, and it doesn't mean the dog respects you. So people find this, like, why is it that I go to these classes and my dog gets this certificate, but I go home and my dog still doesn't listen? It barks at everything. It barks at me. It does, it's disrespectful. It's pushy. It's because you can train. To me, obedience is almost like training tricks, and the dog, usually it's based around treats. And so the dog will perform for you if you have food, but the minute the food is gone and the dog doesn't do it, well, that tells you the truth right there, is that the dog is simply doing what you want it to do to get what it wants. It's not doing it out of respect for you. And so,
I call that bribery or a transactional relationship.
Right. Yeah, so it's, to me, in my experience, true obedience comes from building a high level of respect and trust with the dog. That is what will yield obedience as a byproduct. Now that, because we have some differences. There's a lot of similarities with what we do, people. We have some differences in that relationship. I'm alluding to something else than I think maybe you will say.
Yeah, absolutely. We know that.
Yeah.
Let me go with mine first. So to me, the giveaway is my business name. It's Partners in Canine. You've also heard me waffle on about the history of the breed. The dogs I have, the influence I've read from that, the influence from other people I've spent time with. So I've also done the course, the Trust Technique by James French. So I purchased that course and did that course a couple of years ago. And his stuff is fundamentally the same as the Tibetan. It's all about trust, all about mutual trust and respect. And the animal, the dog, because James French works with horses too, it's more of a true partnership. I don't consider the relationship one of dominance. It's leadership and partnership. So there's a constant negotiation in there always. It's not a set thing. So for example, if I'm out with my dogs and they want to go one way and I want to go to the other, sometimes either of those can occur. I don't mind giving my dog the choice of where to go. That's absolutely fine. We'll go do that. It's their time to be out and be dogs. I'm quite happy to accommodate that at times. Other times I'm not. We go the other way. But instead of, some people do, use a tool to then drag them across where they go, I take a far more gentle approach. So the best example, if people want to see this in action, is when I started working with Fern and Scout, GSP and Cattle Dog. My first walk with them, they were all over the shop. Of course they were. They didn't know me from anyone, and I put them on a leash and gone out. They wanted to go one way as a united pair of dogs, and I wanted to go a different way. So I just stood there. I stood there completely silently, faced the way I want to go, and let them face the way they want to go. It took about 4.5 minutes. They gave up doing what they were trying to do and came with me. To me, that's the way I build leadership. And so, quick definition of leadership to me, I use Chase Hughes' definition. It's the ability to generate followership by your actions alone. Not words, not tools. The ability to generate followership by your actions alone. Your words are irrelevant, completely irrelevant. The tone of your voice is not. The tone of your voice can be important. So it's not saying don't ever speak.
Definitely.
But the words are completely irrelevant.
Definitely.
So it's your actions. And also excluding from that is one of the reasons I don't like tools. And I do use them. I have a leash and a flat collar. Yes, obviously that there is some control. There is some punishment in there. But I want the dog to choose to do things with, because that's going to build up the trust and respect in me, that when we come to something that's a little bit more hairy, a little bit more scary or worrying to the dog, well, they've decided through their own choices to follow me. I haven't forced them. I haven't dragged them along. I haven't done anything to them which is causing discomfort, pain, whatever. And I will wait that length of time. I don't mind doing it. It's the same with Fern getting into the car. He had a phobia of getting into a car because he got his tail shut in the door by his owner once, so he didn't want to get in cars after that. There's video there, me stood there for 20 minutes with the poor guy, trying to get him into the car. Just stood there showing him we can get in the car. And sometimes I would get in, and then he'd follow me in. He'd start licking me in the face and having a great time. And sometimes he was a bit shy about doing that. But the key was, I need you to trust me that this is okay. So I had Rollo on occasionally and got him in the car and Scout, the other dog. She would always jump in. And just seeing other dogs do that happily, he kind of got there eventually. He did the weird thing where he would like to get his front paws and his head in, and then he'd want to be lifted up the rest of the way. Like, all right, I'll take that. I'll take that halfway house. Fine. But it was because I didn't just keep picking him up and shoving him in, pick him up, shove him in. And you can get there doing that. I'm not saying you can't. But then when we come across something which scares Fern, and he did have fears of things, he didn't like confrontation with other dogs. He really wanted to avoid that. Because he trusted me with other things I'd taken my time with him to do, I'm going to have a stronger impulse from him to stay with me and go through things which are a little bit more uncomfortable. So that's where I like to try and approach that relationship thing from. I've had the same issue with my own dog. We'll roll over the video on the channel of him scared of something reflecting in the distance. Slowly on a leash, got him towards it, but I was using a leash, and this is what got me thinking. And I said lots of times, leashes prevent leadership. That is something I will say a lot. I truly believe that statement. Leashes prevent leadership because you are not giving the dog an opportunity to be a follower through your actions, which just your body. You're now attached to that thing, and your actions are dragging it along against their will. That's not leadership. I don't sit there in my 9-to-5 job and wait for my boss to give me a clip around the ear to do stuff. Like, I like my boss. He's a good guy. I work for him, and I work for him hard when it needs to, because I feel part of a team that's working together. We're doing something good. We're keeping airplanes safe. Yeah, thank me when you're next go on holiday. We keep the propulsion system working. We make sure the wings don't fall off. We make sure the engineers are doing all the right things when they're doing the maintenance tasks, yada, yada, yada. But I do that because I have a good leader. I've had bad ones. I've had bad bosses, and I've hated them with passion.
I think we all have, and we all people we hate.
I had to move roles once because I went up to my boss's boss and said, if he speaks to me like that again, I'm going to punch him in the face and throw him out the window. So best we come to a new arrangement. So I have had my fair share of bad bosses, and he was like that. He was just an asshole. But I needed the money, so of course I did the job. But we moved, whatever. But that's what I want to avoid, and I do take that into dogs. I know it's a very human way of looking at it, or anthropomorphizing, if you want to call it a technical term. And I do that. I use a lot of human examples when I talk to clients about dogs, because I see clarity occurring when I talk to people in human terms and then can relate it to the dog. One of my favorite ones is the treat thing. So my neighbor that way, they had some roofing stuff going on the other day. They asked for some help. I don't really know them. They've been in the house a couple of months, whatever. They offered me a case of beer to help. Am I going to help? Yes, cool. I'm in. Case of beer. Love it. Thanks, mate. 3 weeks later, do I go out with the guy? Do we go to the pub? Do we go for a walk? Are we friends? No. Get me a case of beer to help him do something. Cool. I'm happy with that. I don't have any significant relationship or respect with him because of that. And that's exactly how I view the treat stuff. Like, it's just transactional. You gave me stuff, I did stuff. Cool. End of.
Right.
And I think that is a really, really good example of humanizing the thing. But it's just to give clarity. It's not quite that simple in the dog world. There's more to it than that. Because you've got the dog's mood to contend with, its emotions, its what it's feeling, all that stuff. You said something I wanted to ask you about learning theory. Give me a quick rundown on what you mean by learning theory.
Like, people who approach understanding or resolving behavioral issues through, what's known as the 4 quadrants, through positive punishment, negative punishment.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's all the perspective, I guess, or the understanding is that, okay, the dog needs to be taught something, or it's not the relationship that's the problem. It's my dog needs to learn this thing that it hasn't been taught, but I'm going to do it through positive or negative punishment, or through positive or negative reinforcement. And so to me, when you're teaching specific skills, to me, that's more appropriate. But in terms of, like, the biggest reason I don't look at things this way is because if I watch a group of dogs interact, the strongest dogs in that group are going to get cooperation in one form or another through dominating the other dogs in the group. And so it's through that act and through the pressure they put on each other in order to figure out the pecking order. That's not necessarily that is a social phenomenon. And so through that social phenomenon, we're going to find out who's the strongest among us, who is going to be the one to make the rules for the group, who should we listen to, who should we follow. And the dogs who are in charge, it really is a dictatorship. It really is not. Dogs will use sometimes harsh means to maintain order of the group. And so to me, that is, you don't have dogs running around throwing treats at each other, saying "good boy," "good girl," or they're not jerking on leashes. They're not doing any of this shit. So I always say the tools for us as humans are we have to use tools as a way to compensate for our inability to communicate like another dog. And so the less you have to rely on tools, it means your ability to influence is greater. So for me, any tool you use, it should be temporary because the goal is to create a state of mind in the dog so I can remove the tool and I never need it again. And so the way I approach a relationship is from that lens of, okay, I need to properly dominate this dog in order to influence it so that it sees me as the strong presence it needs to follow. Because I see cooperation not as a partnership, but as a think of your workplace, right? That's a dominance hierarchy. And the whole point of a hierarchy is to cooperate we want to minimize conflict as much as we can. That's the point of the hierarchy. And if conflict does ensue, the people in positions of authority are able to resolve the conflict quickly. And so in the animal world, they don't have social contracts or systems in place like we do. They do it through domination. And so that's how they maintain order. And so if I look at it from their eyes, that's what they understand, that's how they're hardwired. Well, then I need to approach it as if this is why my channel is called Act Like a Human, Think Like a Dog, because I'm human no matter what. I can't change that. I act like a human, but if I see it through the dog's eyes and I understand that what they really want from me is to know you're in control. I can't, the power dynamic is I'm the follower, you're the leader. That creating that dynamic means now we can cooperate in a way that eliminates conflict. So that's the point of establishing a hierarchy from the top down. I'm leader, dog's follower, and therefore the dog isn't going to make demands of me. The dog isn't engaged in power struggles. The dog is not going to be disrespectful. The dog is, you're going to get all of the softer sides of the dog, the submissive side of the dog. You're going to get the dog you want, but you're also able to live day to day to day because the dog knows the expectations, and you just don't have any. You can have your dog sleep on you all night long or all day. You could do whatever you want with your dog at that point because it has the right perception of you, right? It's not going to challenge you for things. It's not going to. It's not going to be a constant argument, if you will, back and forth. And that's where partnership. If we have equal power, even though we're not equal creatures, because they don't believe in equality, but neither do I. And I think, imagine if you went to the workplace and everybody had equal say in everything. Everybody be arguing all day long because people aren't going to agree on everything all the time. And that's what, we need people in positions of authority to just say, well, listen, this is the way it's going to get done. I know you don't like it, but we got to move forward. You know what I mean? And that's why, to your point earlier, that's why it's important that we develop good leadership skills so we don't find ourselves in a position, no matter what, we're going to find ourselves in a position where we're working for a boss where we're like, fuck this guy, he sucks. It's just the nature of the game, But there's something you said earlier that I do agree with, and it's that through creating this dynamic, I'm going to create a willing follower, as opposed to a dog who's forced to do things but the dog really doesn't want to follow me. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
want to create a
yeah,
willing follower. Just like if I go to work and I have a boss who's a really good boss, and I want to do the job well for the boss because he's just a good leader. Well, you're going to get a lot more out of me being a good leader. I'm going to want to do what you asked me to do, just like my dog will want to follow me because I'm a good leader, as opposed to me having to constantly butt heads with the dog, or the dog not listening, or the dog not wanting to follow, and I'm just making it. You know what I mean?
yeah. But I think the biggest difference we have is approaching that from different angles. So I consider it purely from a force of personality perspective, whereas you've got a little bit more physical force involved with that. So for let me give an example. So I had a client dog, an Amstaff. Dexter was his name. He had a horrible backstory. He was just out for a walk with his owner. Someone else's dog got out of their back garden and came and attacked him. The other owner was nearby and came out, and my client's owner was there, tried to separate the dogs. They're both Amstaffs, by the way, so it got pretty gnarly. Two bystanders, males, men, saw what was occurring, stopped their car, got out of their car, and then attacked the wrong dog. So I just noticed Rollo's moved. Attacked the wrong dog. They attacked my client's dog. So that dog, one of the owners lost half a finger in that. The police and council were involved, etc. But it got gnarly. So this dog developed a phobia of all dogs. It was an absolute shit show. So the owner was terrified of going out with their dog. They had a friend come over, or someone they knew, someone the dog was not closely knew but was aware of, had met before. The dog bit the guy when he came in the house, and that's when I got a call because they were having real trouble with him. So this is a dog that got serious history, and completely understandable serious history. So as usual, I don't meet the dog with the client at home. I sent them out, put my body cam on, went in the house, had the dog locked out in the back garden, and I went and lay down by the back doors, which is complete glass. They're like French doors, glass French doors. The dog was just going nuts for 5 minutes. It's all on the video on the channel. I just lay down, ignoring the dog. Once the dog calmed down, which was almost on the dot, 5 minutes, I stood up slowly, calmly, and I opened the back door. It's glass, just slid it open. He sniffed my leg. Then he came in the house, had a wander around. I went out in the garden, sat down in the garden chair. He came and sniffed. He was cool. And I went back in the house and picked up the leash. He came right up to me and sat down. He said, "Yeah, Connor, let's go. I'll let you clip this leash on me and let's go for a walk." Mm-hmm. I've now got a willing follower dog, and I haven't touched him. Definitely. I haven't done anything to him. Yeah. And so that's the angle I approach it. And I understand that not every dog is the same, and some dogs are more difficult than others, and some might see you pick the leash up and decide they're going to run away or try and make a game of it and be clown shows. Mm-hmm. I don't care about that. I'll just go stand by the door and wait. Right. If you want to go out for a walk, cool. We'll go, but the onus is on you. It's your responsibility, dog, to make what you want happen. I'm here to facilitate what you want to do within the rules of the society we live in. You've got to be on a leash, and for you to get that leash on, you're going to have to come here where I am by your door, and you're going to have to stop clowning around. When you can do that, we can go out. If you don't want to do that, I'll just stand here until I get bored, and then I'll just go home, and I'll charge your owner for the privilege if I'm feeling grumpy. If I'm not, they can have it for free. And I do that with all of them. I'm not interested in making the dog do something. I'm not interested in grabbing them or making them follow. That's not what we're doing, because I want the dog to see that, hey, I can actually follow this guy. We're going to have a good time, but I have some agency. I'm a sentient, intelligent animal, and I'm allowed to do some stuff on my own terms. Yeah, absolutely you are. You come from wolves, right? You're not a stupid animal, not by any stretch of the imagination. You are not a dumb animal. So yes, I will let you make decisions, and the better decisions you make, the more of them I'm going to let you make. There's limits to that. I am in charge. I am the leader. You're not going to do some stupid stuff. You're attached to me by a leash. There's rules. There are rules, and you're not going to clown around that much. But ultimately, that's the slightly different approach I have, and that's not always easy to instill into owners. I was watching your video yesterday of the German Shepherd you re-uploaded. I can see the different approach there, and I can see a dog that doesn't respect the owners, and I get what you're trying to do. That's not always easy to manage, because ultimately you're trying to change people, not the dog, really.
Right.
Most of the
Right.
most of the time, we're trying to change the people. There's not really a lot wrong with the dog per se. It's generally a human problem. Yeah. If I
Yeah.
may, if you'll let me go into your
Sure.
learning theory comment again,
Sure.
this is something I wanted to tackle, as this would be a fun,
Can I
controversial
say
thing for everyone.
can I say one thing, Pete, real quick, just to comment on
Yeah,
what you
go
said,
for it.
and then we can go
Yeah,
into
go
that.
for it.
Because I am in agreement with you. Because I think you said to you it's about strength of personality. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am absolutely in agreement with that. Because now dogs communicate in a very physical way, but they also communicate in non-physical ways, and so really dominance
Hmm.
to me is about strength of personality. And so if you
Do you
have,
separate dominance and leadership with dogs?
what do you mean?
Are they? How can I explain this? Let me a quick example, and then I'll shut up and let you carry on. So my dog Rollo, when he went to, this is just one story, and this is how he's a leader. He's not dominant. So we went to a dog park, and there was an American Akita that was giving him some petting, and he was just ignoring it. There were two XL bullies in the park. They were related from the same family. Two XL bullies there, and he'd said hello to them and made friends with them. Whatever. Rollo went and lay down in the middle of the park, as he often does, and the Akita was just hassling him. These two American XL bullies just came up to Rollo, walked around him, and shooed the Akita off. Every time the Akita then came and annoyed Rollo, these two XL bullies would just come and intervene, body block the Akita, and shoo it off. Tell it to go away. Piss off. You're not welcome. You're annoying my friend. But those two dogs absolutely, fully submitted to Rollo. They were not the dominant dogs, but Rollo wasn't dominant. He led them. He was their leader, and he did that through a force of personality. He didn't jump on either one of them. He didn't hump either one of them. They just said hello, had a wander around the dog park together. Rollo did his thing. The Akita pissed him off. He just went away from it, lay down, and these two dogs kept this dog away from it. And I have many examples of him having that experience. But Rollo's not dominant. He doesn't start shit with other dogs. He doesn't go after them, doesn't jump on them, doesn't get nasty with them, unless another dog starts with him first. He'll even let a dog hump him, and then he'll challenge it. Then he will just go straight into the face, square on, and be like, "Are you sure you meant that?" And he'll back them off. It just backed them off. He walked them down. There's good video of that on my channel where he literally nose to nose after they've humped him, and he just walks them back. He's not really dominant. He just goes and meets dogs and lies down, and then if there's trouble, other dogs just keep it away from him. What is that? Leadership? Is that dominance? How do you see that?
Well, first I would have to see it for myself to study it, but just based on what I'm hearing, the way I would interpret it is because we have to factor in the individual personality of the dog as well. And so and dominance doesn't necessarily mean that particular dog is going to go out of its way to dominate other dogs. A dominant personality may be a dog who just wants to do its own thing, but if you come fuck with it, it's going to let you know like you're fucking with the wrong one, you know.
Yeah.
And so
you see a difference between physical and personality.
Yeah, I have a video on my Patreon where I talk about the difference between mental dominance and physical dominance, and really, really dominant dogs tend to be very, very good with mental dominance, where the way their posture, the energy they put off, but also the eye contact they give. They don't really have to get physical unless they need to. They can give a look, and the other dogs are like, okay, we're not fucking with him. You know, they can say a lot without saying a lot, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's a posture and a look from distance.
Yeah, and that to me it comes from the strength of personality. So if that dog has a strong inner working, a strong mentality, then it's gonna come out in its body language. It's gonna come out in its eye contact. It's gonna come out in the way it postures. The other dogs are reading all of that. We may not see it, but there's a lot of subtext that those dogs just know. Like, we're not gonna mess with that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now, so for me too, like I only get physical with dogs if I absolutely have to. Like I'm always going to approach things from a non-physical place first, and then I get physical if I need to. And so, because I want to come from the place where I can dominate the dog here first, But if I have a more persistent dog, a more challenging dog, a dog who, you know, is just built that way, then I may need to get a little physical with it. But it's not coming from a place of being mean or trying to hurt the dog, or it's like you ever watch Caesar kind of tussle with dogs, or kind of just, it's like that sort of a
Mhm.
thing where he's not saying anything, but he's saying a lot with just the way he touches, and there's a lot of subtleties to the way Caesar touches dogs or just manipulates them physically. And to me, that's the approach that I think makes the most sense to dogs, because that's what they do to each other.
Mm.
So why not communicate with them in a way that is instinctual, that makes sense, because it's what they naturally do to one another. I mean, I would have much rather approach it from that understanding, as opposed to, you know, everything with tools and e-collars and all of that shit.
You don't worry that trying to communicate like a dog but being a human would be confusing? That doesn't worry you?
No, because sometimes people misunderstand what I'm saying when I say that. All I'm saying is because on some level, humans, we have an animal side to us. So
Oh, we
we're,
are animals.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I just mean in terms of we just have higher thinking than they do, you know?
Mm.
But all of the means of communication are the same: eye contact, energy, body language. Now, they can't use language, but they bark, and they have different
Yeah,
their barks.
vocalizations.
Yeah, the different vocalizations can mean different things, just like we vocalize. They don't understand the words, but like you said, they understand the energy we put behind it. So we have all the same means of communication. So why not just study how dogs use those means of communication, and then I seek to use the same tools in the same way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes
Like
sense to me. I
eye
understand.
contact, for instance, right? If I
Yeah.
understand how to say different things with my eyes, then I can look at a dog in a particular way to communicate something, and I can get a lot more done with a look
Mm.
than even having to say anything, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. The Tibetans do that as one of their
Yeah.
punishments for their dogs. Actually, when the Tibetan Mastiffs are in their growing up phase or training, or even when they're grown up and they do something wrong, the Tibetans will actually stare hard with eye contact at their dogs.
that
It's a way of saying,
that's what I'm saying.
"Oi,
Yeah, and
you've overstepped the mark. I didn't like that.
right.
That's not something I appreciated."
Yep. Goose does that so well. And I love she can stare a dog down, and you know, a dog 4 times her size, and get them to, you know, submit. Is just a beautiful thing because she's so small, you know, but she has the mentality though. She has the personality.
Mm.
Um
Yeah, okay.
but now we can move on to what was your question about the learning theory as far
Oh
as
yeah, learning theory. I wanted to get all fun and controversial with this one. Um, I've done a very, very deep dive into this and had a really solid exploration of where those shitty quadrants came from, and how they've been misinterpreted, misaligned, misapplied, yada yada yada. So we'll talk Skinner and we'll talk other people as well. So as
yeah,
most
definitely.
people are aware of, Skinner is credited wrongly with the quadrants. Skinner's language does not contain any of his publications do not contain the word positive punishment or negative punishment. They do contain positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement. We'll briefly also probably end up touching on most. So what happened with Skinner's work? He published his operant conditioning stuff in 1934. He then carried on doing experiments and whatnot with it all. Now, another chap, forgotten his first name, Förster, who was a co-author of Schedules of Reinforcement, he was unhappy with Skinner's imprecise language in his operant conditioning definitions. And so he set off to try and make it a more process-driven arrangement. He tried to mathematicize it into a formula, and he did fairly well at that. And then along comes another couple of chaps, or maybe one, can't remember, Keller and Schoenfeld, and they started doing university teaching materials, and they did mathematicize operant conditioning. They actually turned it into a formula. So they wanted to know if behavior changed when you added something to the environment or if you took something away from the environment. And that's where Skinner's operant conditioning splits from what most people call operant conditioning today and what eventually turned into the quadrants. Then a gentleman by the name of what's his name? Professor Jack Michael Jack, yeah, I think. He got involved in 1950s. Anyway, Professor Jack Michael. He got involved. So he became over 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s the guy in terms of behaviorism. He wrote all the university training manuals, all the books that then went up to your Ivy League universities in the US for behavior. And he is a very interesting figure in the operant conditioning loop. He disagreed with Skinner, and he went down the route of the mathematical formula, and what he wrote in his textbooks and books eventually became in the dog world through, we'll get to other names later, the quadrants. He was a very strange fellow. He actually proposed in one of his papers that there is no relevant scientific use to having any kind of word in front of reinforcement. He actually put a paper forward that says we should bin positive and negative in terms of reinforcement. They're not useful words. They add no value, which is a very strange thing for someone to say, a professor of behavior to say. But that was one of his papers, he argued. It was not accepted by the community. It was rejected. So positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement stayed. But this was a strange chap. It was one of his main contributions was to try and bin off that. So he was the guy that set about training people like, who will we get to in the modern dog world? So we're going to go into Dr. Mary Birch. So he was the guy that trained Dr. Mary Birch. She is the founder of the Canine Good Citizen stuff, which is associated with the American Kennel Club. And there you've got Karen Pryor and Dr. Ian Dunbar coming along in there too. So these are the people that developed the quadrants. So that's what they did. So, and here's the rub with them. In the laboratory conditions that Professor Michael was using the quadrants in, he never actually had them in quadrant form. It was a mathematical formula for him. It was do something to the environment with an addition, or do something to the environment with a subtraction, equals a behavior increase or equals a behavior decrease. What occurs, write it down. And he was really, really hard over with that with students. If you can't write behavior stuff as a formula, it's not good enough. We're not doing imprecise language. We will keep it to this. So we'll leave that thread alone. That's the laboratory side of it. In the universities, what they were doing. What Skinner carried on doing was to indirectly disagree with these people. So his later publications of works, which came in the 1970s, I think. I can't remember which way around it was. That was about behaviorism, I think, in the 70s. I can't remember the name of his first book. He disagreed with the way they mathematized the formula, and he kept his original stuff. So his operant conditioning, when you get to about behaviorism, is taking into account some evolutionary psychology, and is taking into account the fact that you cannot remove variables from the equation when you're in a big wide world. In a laboratory where you're testing one variable on behavior at a time, great. The quadrants actually make perfect sense. They're normal. They work. They're reliable. But when you take an animal out into the real world, and now you've got all five senses ringing off at once with all the things that are in the world, now you can't apply that same theory because it doesn't function properly, because there is too much going on, too much noise. There's multiple variables happening at once. So you can't apply the same formula. So you have to look at the dog's motivations, or the animal, whatever you're studying, the animal's motivations, its internal state of mind, what things are going on in the head, to work out why a dog might be doing something and then what to do about it. So that's a lot of theory. So there's an example. We'll go back to the treat is a great example. So you're out with a dog. You see another dog coming, and as people are told in the using treats, you get a treat out to try and keep the dog's attention on yourself. Under Skinner's system, that's just not going to work, because the dog's focus is always going to go through right down to its lizard brain, right at the bottom of the top of the spine, the bottom of the brain, and it's going to do a few things. It's going to go through survival first, then it's going to go through the emotional reaction to the trigger, and then it's going to decide what it can be done to do about it. Then it's going to decide what's my relationship with the owner to impact that. So you've got all of those things going on at the same time in the dog's head. Ergo, when a dog sees something that's potentially a threat to it, even if there's a treat in its face, you are now arguing against the evolution of the dog and everything that's going on in its head that says potential survival threat. Potential survival threat, treat. Potential survival threat, treat. It's just, it's nonsense. It is. And that, yeah. So that's the fundamental problem you have when you're trying to discuss what Skinner's doing with operant conditioning and what operant conditioning is in the quadrants. They're two different things. In a laboratory where you're testing one variable, i.e. what happens when we electric shock a dog's tail or leg, to turn it off, the dog has to put its leg down or adopt a position or press a lever, whatever it is. You're testing one variable. And the dog doesn't know who, what, or why changed the environment. So when you've got that quadrant-based system in that environment, yeah, it works. You can explain everything. You can understand what's going on, single variable. You bring that into the real world where you have all those other random variables going on, all of the things going on in the dog's brain, what it finds reinforcing, what it doesn't find reinforcing, what it's completely indifferent to, what it wants, the relationship with the owner. The moment you change the environment for the dog and the dog can see you doing it, you're not in an operant conditioning loop of the environment you're in. You are trying to shrink the dog's world down to just you. And if you shrink the dog's world down to just you and the thing in your hand, and this applies equally to the correction, by the way, you shrink that environment down to just you, the thing in your hand, or a correction. All of the survival instincts the dog is pinging out through its ears, its nose, its eyes, its touch, its taste, smell, and the rest of it, you're fighting them. You're absolutely fighting them. So the operant conditioning system is a mess. It doesn't work. So that's one of the things I tell clients it's not worth them trying to understand. But this is what something I like to get into technical discussions with, because when people talk operant conditioning and when they do it with their dogs, fundamentally, no. If you're quadrating, you're not doing operant conditioning unless your dog is in a lab and you are making one variable change at a time. If you're out in the big wide world, operant conditioning must be seen through the eyes of the dog, not through your eyes because you want the dog to do something for you. No, that doesn't work. Have to see it through the dog's eyes as to what all of the reinforcements, what all of the environmental punishments are at once. And then you have to work out, well, how are we going to get this dog to overcome this fear? What's my relationship with the dog? How do I figure that one out? And I personally land on the solution of let the dog look. I see a dog, this is a good example. You have one of the video yesterday, chasing squirrels. Look, here you go, dog. There's a squirrel growing up a tree. Look, there's a dog over there. You want to pull to get to that dog. Just look. We're just going to stand here doing nothing. I'm just going to be completely calm, relaxed. Once you've disengaged from that trigger, because it's not what we're doing, we'll move on. We'll move forward. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And the dog and you just go along doing your thing, happy in the world. Don't need to try and augment or reduce or impact my environment with the dog. I want the dog to see the world, learn the world, be in the world, know that I'm here as their calm, happy, easy facilitator, and we're just doing what we're doing. There's nothing to be worried about, nothing to get too excited about. There are times in a place you can, go. I take my 2 rabbit hunting sometimes. It's ridiculous, they can't catch rabbits. Way too fat and slow. But there are times, yes, go chase stuff, go do stuff, go be in the environment and have fun, do what you want to do, dig a hole, try and dig a rabbit out, whatever, yada, yada. But when we're just walking, you see a trigger, I don't care. I had it the other day when I was with Rollo. We had a Kelpie that smelt his pee and realised he's an unneutered male and went, oh, I don't like you. And Rollo was like, do you want to start? No, we're not doing that. And it was words, but it was Matone that did it. We're not doing that. Just let him go, because Kelpie was off leash. And he did. The Kelpie just toddled off and we went off in our own direction. I let him look. I do not need to intervene in that environment. And if the Kelpie did have a Rollo, it'd be quite funny to see. It wouldn't have gone very well for it. But that's the thing. It's the same with client dogs. I'm a bit more relaxed with off-leash dogs coming up to Rollo. He's massive. He can handle himself. He's a good dog. But with clients' dogs, often see the reactivity come out. See them start to get wound up. See them get stiff and staring. And it's fine. Be stiff. Be stare. Have a yell and a jump and a shout on the end of the leash. I don't care. I genuinely don't care. I will just stand here till you've processed that emotional load that's come into your brain through your oldest part of your amygdala or whatever it is, your limbic system. And then when you calm down and you've realized, I don't care, I'm not interested, I'm not bothered, I've not had an adrenaline dump, I've not had a heart rate increase, I'm not even looking at the damn thing that you're looking at, you'll just carry on calmly. That repeated process, that is the conditioning loop, the operant conditioning loop. The dog is now working out me, working out the environment, working out what is not scary, using its own brain systems. I am not trying to shrink that environment down to me. It's not important. I want this dog successful. The The success is for me to not be worried about what the dog's going to do when I'm not in control. That's my end goal. That's the little catchphrase for my end goal. I want the dog to be something I'm not worried about what it's going to do when I'm not in control. Because I don't want to be in control. And I'm not. When I take Rollo off the leash and we're down the beach or we're down wherever we've seen lives and other places I go, I am not in control. Yes, I can call him. Yes, he'll come over to me. Yes, he'll follow me. And when I walk off, he'll do stuff. But ultimately, we've got to a stage where I am not in control of him, but he is trusted to manage himself in a safe and appropriate way. He's not going to go chase things he shouldn't. He's not going to go and bite people. He's not going to go and piss off the reactive dog in the corner that's having a meltdown because of the size of him. We're not there. And that's the goal. I'm not worried about what he's going to do when I'm not in control. That's my fundamental where I want to get to. I hope that makes sense. And yeah, learning. I could go on for hours and hours about that, but
totally get where you're coming from. And this is one thing. Me and you, Peter, we're on like total opposite ends of the spectrum. My caveat to what you said would like, because when I take Goose out, I do all the same things you do. Where like, not because she's earned the freedom and she's proven through consistency when we go out into the world that if she looks at something, it ain't going to be a big deal. If she, if I tell her she can chase a rabbit, she'll chase it. But if I tell her she can't, she won't. She follows the rules. She knows the expectations. So I that's not the place I would start though, because the way I see it is
understand.
If my dog, if the communication in the dog world is centered around telling each other what they don't like, and I go out into the world with my dog, because I see that I'm always conscious of what role are we playing at any given moment. And so if I take a passive role, which to me that's if I have my dog on a leash and I just kind of stand and I do nothing and wait for my dog to finish what it's doing, then I see that as I'm taking a passive role and my dog is the one in the driver's seat. It's being the more assertive presence or energy in that situation. Its role is now different. And if I just allow that to happen, then what is the dog supposed to believe other than, I guess this is what you want me to do, because you're not disagreeing with me. You're not telling me I shouldn't do this. And then if it repeats it over and over and over again, now it becomes a habit. And it becomes like this self-reinforcing loop where now it's just like, since the dog has practiced it so much, now it's like an impulse that it's like its default setting now. And so the leader-follower dynamic to me is always there no matter what. And that's what I always strive to achieve in any context. So that way I could take my dog out into the world and I could give them all the freedom they want, but they know the expectations. And so they're never going to just chase stuff or bark at people or, go run up to dogs or, they're not going to engage with the world inappropriately, but they can still experience the world. But it's not going to cause problems. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So yes, we do have a different approach for that. And so I don't see it as a passive role when I'm letting the dog have a bit of a meltdown on the end of the leash. Physically passive up to a point, but I'm also punishing the dog because I'm restraining it. But it's a case of what is my energy doing? That is the most influential part of that. It's not my physical presence in the moment. The dog's having a mini meltdown on the end of the leash. It's my emotional presence which has the most influence at that point because I'm dead calm. And I mean that in all seriousness. I'm not stood there embarrassed. I don't care. I'm not stood there going, oh crap, my heart going. I literally do not give a crap. And I'm just stood there calm. That calm presence does translate down the leash to the dog. They can pick that up, and they can pick that up without really focusing on you at all. That's something that I picked up off James French in particular. If you can, it sounds a little bit woo-woo. You can project a calm presence with actually quite a decent amount of force, and the dog will pick that up. So you're not truly passive, physically passive, yes, but you're punishing because you're restraining the dog. So by restraining the dog near you, whilst you're pushing out that total calm, that influence is felt, and that dog will notice you're calm. And when the dog's not calm, it's a very, very attractive proposition to an animal which goes through the world sensing rather than thinking about it. To sense that calm from the animal it's attached to by a leash is very, very influential, very influential. And that, again, generates the followership in the difficult scenarios that you come across with the dog. I'll humanize quickly just for clarity. It's not quite this simple. Imagine you're on a boat, big boat, cruise boat. It starts sinking. I watched a Costa Concordia documentary the other day. The boat sank off the coast of Italy, and you got to get out. You got to get on the lifeboats. The most attractive thing to all of those people who had to evacuate the boat was the calm crew members that helped them along, helped them get their life jackets, helped load them. They were calm, cool, collected. They're trained for this. They've done all these drills. The people that had the most issue getting around stuff and getting into the lifeboats is where everyone was just panicking, pushing. The staff were trying to shove people out of the way so they could get in the lifeboats. That's repulsive to people who are stressed and who are scared. You have a much better time of things when the people you're around, the people you're attached to, are calm. You notice them. You don't actually think you would. You're panicking. You want to get off this thing that's sinking. It's the same thing. You spot the people that are calm because there's something different about them. Your senses are doing this subconsciously. You're not doing this consciously. You pick up on it and you stick near them because they give you that sense of confidence that everything's okay. They know how to handle this. Follow this cool, calm, collected person and you'll be all right. And most of the time you will. That's the kind of angle I'm looking at that from when I've got a reactive dog that's having a little bit of a mini meltdown on the end of the leash. I'm here to guide you through this. I'm chill, I'm calm, I'm not bothered. I understand your point about the loop and how this can become practiced and reinforced behavior. I've heard that said a lot of times before by people, and it can. But my counterpoint to that is, again, when the dog is sensing a person that is being calm and is a leader, that over influences that. And because it's predicated on the notion that no mammal wants to do anything which expends any energy unless there is a reason to do so. So if the dog can sense its environment and it's having a little meltdown, but it senses the calm person on the end of that leash, that starts to override that concept of practice behavior, because actually they're sensing there's no reason to. They don't want to have a reactive outburst. There's no desire in the back of their brain that says, do you know what, I fancy it. Let's just be a dick and have a pop at the end of the leash to this thing over here, whatever that might be. That's not a thing. That doesn't exist. It is a trigger that causes a reaction. And if the dog can sense something it's attached to has a calm energy about it, and it is an energy, that's the right word, it has no reason to have that reactive outburst. So when it then looks back at you because it started to sense this calm, and it sees you're not even paying attention to what's going on, you're just focused on what you're doing, you're just stood there relaxed, and then when it's looking at you, you move on. The dog kind of goes, well, that was a waste of energy. I'm a mammal. We don't waste energy. That's not coded into our DNA. We only use energy when we absolutely need to, and our brains are telling us we have to because something needs doing. I just wasted a bunch of energy. Well, maybe I won't bother doing that. This guy seems to know what he's doing. He's pretty chill. He's calm. He's not reacting at that thing. He's actually really relaxed, and he's just leading forward. Okay, I'm cool. Let's just walk. And that's how I go with the reactive dogs, and that's how I see them. And it's a process. They slowly start to chill out. Fern was a great example of this. The GSP hated confrontation with dogs behind fences when they would bark and we'd walk past. He'd go try and walk out in the road all the way over there at the full end of the leash, and the little cattle dog he lived with, Scout, she'd like to try and have a pop at the dogs behind the fences because she's a cattle dog and loves confrontation. Slowly over time, that reduced with Fern because I just stayed calm and I just walked past these places and get Fern away from, Scout away from the fence so she can't have a pop at the dog because that would set Fern off. And we just walk. We just practice walking past all these barky, horrible dogs. And there's one down the end of the street that had they call them rough collies here. I call them Shelties. I think Americans call them Shelties too.
Yeah, we call them Shelties,
and I had them walk up to the fence and say hello behind the fence, like 4 or 5 weeks before that when I started working with them. Fern wouldn't even walk on that side of the damn road. Like he'd be pulling to cross the road and go around this property because the dog would bark at him. Like, it's my calm presence and calm energy just walking around with him that slowly got him to override that behavior of not being reactive. He was an avoider rather than a reactive. Scout was a more reactive. And in fact, a really good short, I think, to put it out, was on my channel. I took Rollo with me one day with these two. They've met him a few times. And they just walked past another house with a barky dog. And none of the dogs were bothered at all. And like I say on the video, like, this is not my doing. I cannot claim credit for this. This is my dog. This is the calming influence he has on the other two dogs that are with it. Literally, they didn't avoid, they didn't start trouble. The dog was in the backyard, and we just walked past as a 3 dogs and me, so a foursome, just walked straight past. And there was no hassle. It was Fern. Fern didn't avoid, Scout didn't start trouble, and Roller just walked. Right? It's the calming presence that does it, and it does override behavior that can become patternized. If you've got a scared human holding that leash, you've got someone who's worried about the reactivity. Yeah, absolutely, you're right. That will become a loop. That will become a self-reinforcing behavior because the dog's in charge. The dog's in charge because it's not receiving a calm leadership signal from the human. So there is 2 different angles to that.
Well, I agree with you, Pete, but to me, it's only half of the equation. So, because to me, calmness is absolutely part of it. The other half of it, though, is we need to be able to provide direction. So your example with, say, you're on a sinking boat. Of course, the calm individual is you're going to want to follow that person, but that person is also directing you to the lifeboat. So if someone was just standing there calm and just kind of, getting in the zone, you'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? This boat is sinking. What are we? But if that guy's like, hey, kind of directing traffic, but he's not panicking. You know what I mean? So in that moment, I see like if my dog is, and then we have to factor in instincts to this as well. Like, for instance, if I'm passing a dog who may be giving my dog challenging eye contact, or as Brandon Fouché says, throwing shade, and my dog does not appreciate that. My dog sees it and is like, oh, you want to fucking go? And it runs the end of the leash, and now they're barking at each other, and now it escalates. And I just try to remain calm, but I don't direct the dog into what I want it to do or what I don't want it to do. And to me, it's only half of the equation. You know what I mean?
That's where your body language is important. So that's why I face the direction I want to go. I look at the thing I want to go to or go away from. That is the signal to the dog. I want you to do this. I want you to come with me. I want you to follow, because it won't be a case of the dog's in front of me reacting. Generally, I'll have walked somewhere to direct the dog with that guidance of, no, I want to do this. This is what we're doing. I'm walking over here. I've gone this way. You're now behind me, perhaps, or to the side of me.
Okay, so you're still directing. You're just
there. Yes, I'm just using a body language to do it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, you're not literally just like standing there, just being calm and letting the dog. You're still doing something.
Yeah, I've stepped into a position or adopted a position depending on the strength of the dog. Like if I'm working with a dog Rollo size, I'm not going to have one arm behind me twisted like that while I focus on this. I'm going to have to stand a lot closer, have the leash a lot shorter, but I'll still do the same thing. I want to point myself at what I'm trying to do. That's my direction to the dog, that I'm not engaged with that thing. You don't need to be engaged with that thing. I don't care if that dog's looking at you like it wants to eat your face off. I'm focused on this. I'm focused on over here. That is what we're doing, and that the dog picks up on that pretty quick, because they do check in with you every so often. Even when they're having a reactive outburst, they'll turn around and be like, "What? Why aren't you joining in? Or why are you doing something different?" And they'll see you're focused on something completely different. I'm like, oh, okay, we're not doing that. You don't want me to do that. We'll go and do this thing instead over here, whatever that is. So it's still direction, but it's not commanded direction. It's follow me. It's an offer to follow me, because what I'm doing is going to be a calmer thing for you to do. You don't need to be wound up, upset, yada yada yada. You can just follow me, and we'll have a calm time and enjoy doing what we're doing. So it's still a direction. I'm still showing the dog what to do. So yeah, I agree on your point. You need to show the dog what to do, and I do that. It's just not so obvious necessarily. If you watched me from a distance and you didn't know what was going on, you'd be like, why is he not even looking at what's going on?
Pete, have you ever seen dogs? This is something that Goose will do, but I've seen other dogs do this too. Where say there's a group of dogs, and one of them is just way too overexcited, or anxious or amped up, and you've seen a dog go over to them and maybe jump on them and pin them and be like, "Chill out." Have you ever seen them do that before?
Yeah, I have. I've seen the King Charles videos and such. With my own eyes, I have not seen it result in a pin. What I have seen is, and I'll use my two as the example, I have seen that scenario where there's been a couple of dogs running around a dog park, kind of picking on another dog a bit, getting a bit too riled up. Rollo and Tora will go up to the dog that's causing the trouble, and they'll punch it. They'll just punch it in the side with their foreleg, just hit it. I'm like, stop that, knock it off. And they'll if there's one of them, they'll just body block, between the dog that's being bullied and the dog that's causing trouble. If they're both there, sometimes they'll form a V formation, which is really, really interesting. So Rosie's dog Chopper, so he's not that great with other dogs sometimes, especially if they come front on eye contact. And we were in a dog park down her way. I had both of mine, and he doesn't like golden retrievers too much for whatever reason. And a big golden retriever came in the park. My two were solid 100 yards away, other end of the park, just doing their thing. They saw Chopper make a beeline for this golden retriever. My two came running, and they formed a V formation around Chopper, and they escorted him to the golden retriever and made him say hello nicely. So,
yeah, see, to me, that would be a calm, assertive.
It's assertion. It was assertive.
Yeah.
It was like, this is my park. We know what you're like. Behave yourself, or you're going to have a little bit of trouble. And Chopper pushed his luck at one point with Tora, and she told him exactly how she felt about that. Rollo stepped in as well and said, if you want to have a pop at her, you're going to have a pop at me too. But it was all done in normal dog communication. They were kind of just Chopper knocked Tora over. They were clowning around, and he knocked her over, and she got up and just went straight into the side of his neck, and they were bouncing around together. It wasn't nasty, but it was like, oi, you've overstepped the mark here. They ran around for 10 seconds doing that, and then Rollo stepped in. Rollo stepped in towards the end on the other side of Chopper, and again he grabbed him by the further side of the neck and said, don't forget I'm here too. So yeah, I have seen that. I've seen that level of communication, that assertion. I see my own dogs do it all the time. When I take them to dog parks, they don't like other dogs having squabbles. They're natural. All livestock guardians are like this. It's not unique to me or my dogs. Livestock guardians bred to keep the peace on farms between multiple different species of herd animal. So when dogs are in dog parks and squabbles start, the livestock guardians will generally insert themselves and to the guy that's causing trouble and be like, nah, you're not doing that here. Go away. Sort yourself out. Sometimes that can be a pin. Tora has done that. Tora has actually pinned a dog. It's done that. Rollo hasn't ever pinned a dog like that. Rollo's only ever pinned a dog that started stuff on him first. But it's not unique to my two livestock guardians or like that. I've seen Great Pyrenees do the same thing. They do communicate that same way, and they do like to keep the peace. But it's assertive. It's not. I'm trying to be the king of the dog park. It's
right.
They just want to keep the peace. It's been bred into them for the
Definitely.
years.
Yeah, and it's like the way I've seen Goose do it is like there was a dog I did a live stream with. He stayed here named Benson. It was right before I left for Florida, and his owner came to pick him up. But this is just one example. But he got really excited when his owner walked in the door, and and he was jumping on her, and he was just way too much. And Goose just ran over at him, jumped on him, kind of just like put her mouth on him, just like chill out.
Yeah.
And he immediately was like, okay, fine. I was like, all right, thank you. But yeah, she's saying like, just calm the fuck down, man. Just chill out.
Yeah, my two will do it to each other. Like seriously, if one of them. Tora doesn't usually walk with me. It's my wife. And if she gets too excited by the door and I'm waiting to put their collars on, Rollo will just he'll start slapping her with his paw. Like, come on, shut up and sit down. Stop being an idiot.
Calm down.
Exactly that. Yep.
Yeah.
They do communicate in that way. They
definitely
understand what's going on.
I sort of come at it from that angle where I'm not necessarily physical, or for instance, like let's say that same situation with Benson, I would just call like firmly but gently grab the collar, just sit the dog down and just be like, hey, just to kind of like de-escalate things, just bring it to just chill out, bring it down, and then once the dog
easier
relaxes,
to do with It's easier to do with smaller dogs. So I had a client with two English staffies who were exactly the same. You come in the house and they're just so happy to see you and jumping all over you and going crazy. That was one of the things they asked me to fix with them. So I showed them, just ignore the dogs. When they're clowning around and jumping all over you, just pay them zero attention. Do nothing that excites them. And I showed them, look, give us 10 minutes before we go out for a session, and I'll show you how this works. And they were jumping on me, being clowns, being silly. And I just ignored them. And as soon as all four paws are on the floor and they're wondering why they're not getting paid any attention, well, now we can fuss you. You're being calm. Cool, let's pay attention to you. Let's pet you and say what touching, do that. And then they get excited and they start jumping again and being crazy again. Just stand up, ignore, go do your own thing. Just don't even necessarily just stand, ignore them. If you've got stuff to do, go do it. When all paws are on the floor again and they're calm, fuss them. Enjoy them. Make them realize that calmness is what gets them what they want. put the responsibility on your dog to behave in the way you want them to behave, because you're going to reward that behavior. You're not going to tell them what to do. They don't give a crap. They're English staffies. You can command them all you like. They don't care. They're English staffies. So you cannot teach them. You cannot practice them into this. The only thing you can do is give them a reason to change their behavior. And the reason is you're going to reinforce the thing you want, but they take responsibility for their behavior. It's the same thing as waiting for the dog to calm down by the door and you put a leash on. Put the responsibility onto the dog to behave how you want it to. You'd be amazed how far that gets you.
Definitely. No, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. The only difference I have is, say, with the jumping, and guys, I'll give you just an easy way to stop jumping that's not going to be controversial or hurt the dog. If you just take your fingertips and the dog jumps up, the crest area, where the area between its two front legs, if you just apply a little bit of pressure right there to send it back down, you're communicating a boundary. They're saying, hey, just don't jump on me. And then you just keep ignoring them, all the excitement, but you assert that boundary. Eventually, they'll go lay down, and then you can give them the attention once they're calm. But I also include the boundary there, like, hey, I want you to relax, but also don't jump on me. I don't want you to jump on me either. But that's usually the way I do it, is just a gentle little push back with my fingertips on the chest. And with that area, you don't need much pressure. It's just like a little, and they get it, and they're like, okay, fine. You may have to repeat it twice or something, but they generally listen to that.
So I trained that out of my dogs when they were young. I did it the dog training way, but I did it the controversial way with my knee. Every time they jumped at me, they get a knee in the chest. And do you know what? I actually miss them jumping at me. I want my dogs to do that now. It might sound weird to people out there, but I actually miss that a bit.
Because for me, like I said, when you build the right relationship with the dog, for me, you can have your cake and eat it too. Like I don't have issues with Goose as far as her being disrespectful or challenging me or anything. So yeah, there are moments where she gets excited, like we're playing, and she'll do this thing where she'll jump on my legs and then push and twist. It's like her little move. And I don't care. I let that happen. But I also invite it. I'm like, I also tell her, like, I'll pat my chest and she'll do it.
Yep.
I don't mind that.
Yeah.
It's not a problem,
Mine won't do it. I wish they would. I tried to get Roller to do it the other day. I think I put it up on my channel as a short, and he kind of just bows in front of me and then lies down. He's just he is so over conditioned to that every time he jumped at me and get a knee in the chest, he doesn't want to do it. I've got him to kind of half jump recently, so I have put some effort back into that because I actually want that. But same with you, I play with them. I run around the garden and play with my dogs, and they are allowed to be physical with me. I like it. I do like that.
I agree. I used to rough play with Bruno. And it was so much fun, and it's I miss that with him because he was just he was a strong-minded male, and he liked the rough play, and I could do that with him, but he knew there was never any disrespect in there or anything.
Yeah,
but,
exactly, because you won't do it if there is.
No,
you
absolutely
shouldn't do
not.
it if there is.
No,
but yeah, once you've got the right relationship with your dog, you can be physical with them, and they'll be physical with you. As for challenges, so I do live with two dogs that will challenge me, only in one area. If they are doing their job of guarding, I better get out the damn way.
I know that's an exception with the livestock.
The livestock and perimeter guardians. If you're not comfortable with that concept, don't get them, because if they detect a threat and you try to get involved in stopping them do their job, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. And if you block their path where they're running to deal with something, they will bowl you over. Like, you're not in charge at that point. Step out the way, let them do their job. They've been bred for many, many thousands of years to do this without your involvement, without your help. They know what they're doing. But that's the only area we get challenged on, and we're okay with that. We know what we've got. We're not under any illusions. We didn't get golden retrievers. Even weirdly, I've had people ask me in public, "Are they golden retrievers?"
No kidding.
Are you blind? Are you okay?
Golden retrievers?
Yeah, seriously, I have.
Like, yes, they're extremely overweight golden retrievers. Yes, they're golden
giant-headed, overweight, curly-tailed golden retrievers.
Right.
Okay.
Well, real quick, Pete. Let me just acknowledge. I appreciate everybody joining. Thank you for everybody that's commented. I'm sorry, guys. When I do these discussions or what, I tend to not. I'm just focused in on the conversation. So please don't feel like I'm ignoring anybody.
I can't see
but
the
I do-
conversation because I'm using my phone.
Yeah,
so
Pete,
sorry, I have
Pete,
no idea.
I'm sorry, guys. If you were wondering, I wasn't being disrespectful to Pete when I was showing Goose. It's just I knew he can't see me anyway, so it's like I'm not trying to. But so, OT, John, appreciate everybody. Some of the names I can't see because I let Pete. My phone right now is having issues.
Okay.
But Judette, if you're still here, Eden, thank you all for joining. Really appreciate it. All the comments, all the questions. Really appreciate you guys joining the conversation. I did want to get into, so Pete, if you want to explain to people the difference in your understanding of, say, what Skinner says about having no, like, we don't have free will, we don't, or these concepts
okay.
that I think, yeah, if you want to go into that and
you ready for this fucking rabbit hole?
yeah, and the psychologists who disagree with the idea that there is no free will, or what is the debate with that?
Yeah, okay. All right. This is going to get deep, folks. So there is, and let's first dispel this notion that a lot of people have. There is a very well researched, very well thought out line of science, which is very hard over that we do not have free will as animals. The human animal does not have free will. They are absolutist in that claim. It is not fringe. It is not random weirdos that point that out. It is a very mainstream, well researched, well thought out line of thought that there is no such thing as free will. Let's dispel anyone who thinks otherwise. The most famous or well-known household name guy I can think of at the moment who is well-known and commonly espousing this is Dr. Sam Harris. But B.F. Skinner is one of these people as well. I think they're called determinists, I think is the technical name. I call them free will absolutists. I prefer my little colloquialism. There is a lot, big line of thought, a very well-researched line of thought that goes through multiple generations of scientists and things. As with all science, there is an alternate point of view. And when I was researching this and wrote my article on my website about this particular issue, I consulted the internet to give me a list of 10 psychologists and 10 neuroscientists who were both on either side of the divide. So 10 psychologists and neuroscientists who are for the concept of no free will, and 10 neuroscientists and 10 psychologists who are pro the concept of free will. And I looked at their arguments and I kind of pulled out what I thought was relevant. The funny conclusion to the end of it is, it doesn't actually matter what I say. You've made your own mind up as soon as you read the first sentence of this article, and you've spent the rest of the time just justifying your conclusion.
That's a good point, actually.
And you will play into your own confirmation biases when you go down this route and you start reading what scientists have said about it. So I'm not going to change anyone's mind about this. But yeah, B.F. Skinner in particular was very hard over in the fact that free will as a concept does not exist. We don't have it. Where people tend to get hung up on that is really when it comes to dogs, we're talking about behavior. And that's why the definition of behavior is so important. Nobody, and all of science is united on this, by the way, nobody in the scientific community says you have free will when it comes to your behavior. Your behavior is governed by your limbic system in your brain. It is not conscious. You're not in charge of it. 95% of what we do, or to be accurate, 95% of what we do as humans is controlled by our limbic system fully. We do not input conscious thought into that on a day-to-day basis. We just run scripts in our brain that our body carries out. It's all governed by the limbic system. And that comes with the saying from Simon Sinek, that the conscious exists to justify the actions of the subconscious. Now, what he means by that is you're doing your daily tasks for the most part on your subconscious, and your conscious is the social part of your brain which justifies your actions to fit into the social scenarios and the groups you're in, because your behavior is governed by the environment you're in. I.e., funny example, we're sat here talking, we're dressed, we're doing stuff appropriate to the environment. Neither of us are naked, but later when we get into our showers and have a wash and the rest of it, we're going to get naked. Right. The environment drives the behavior. It's appropriate to get naked and get in your shower and get washed. Not appropriate in this scenario. So your conscious brain is there to justify the social aspect of things, and your subconscious brain does everything for you. So when we talk about concept of free will, it's only to do with things that are not behavior. And that concept is when you start thinking about choices, and that is based on a social environment, a hierarchical environment, on all those other things which you need a conscious brain to plan the future, run avatars of yourself to see which line of thought will get you what you want, won't get what you want, might get you in trouble, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, Skinner was a determinist. So he genuinely thought you had no free will, which gets real weird when you start telling people, oh yeah, by the way, you're not actually responsible for your actions. Excuse me? What do you mean I'm not responsible for my actions? As you see, if you ever read the article I wrote, I take quite a dim view of that statement and just think, can you imagine the horror of the human we reproduce if you started telling teenagers, you are not responsible for your actions, you have no free will? That you think the Nazis or the communists were bad. You start telling kids they're not in charge of their choices and their actions. Now, that said, that's my particular bent on the situation. I am someone who supports the concept of free will, having looked into this. I understand the determinist point of view. I agree with behavior. There's no such thing as free will. Absolutely. That is as scientifically certain as you can get. But when you start looking at what the conscious brain does in terms of choices and spinning off your 56 different lines of thought simultaneously to work out which one is going to benefit you the most, which one will work, which one won't. That's where the free will people. Dostoevsky is my favorite. Very, very, very well versed in this. So he wrote in the same sort of times, just before Skinner, like late 1800s into the early 1900s. Dostoevsky was writing. He's universally agreed as the world's best psychologist ever. I think Freud and Jung and Nietzsche all said this about him. He was the only guy they ever learned something from. And he was very much into the camp of we have free will, very, very strongly into it. And he explored this in some depth. And he came up with the concept of, well, if humans were able to be just controlled by a mathematical formula and you could map out someone's life in sufficient detail that you could then predict through past reinforcements what the next step would be to 100% accuracy, the first thing the human will do is act irrationally and against their own interests just to break stuff because they cannot cope with utopia. If you provided people with such prediction systems that if you could map out someone's life with enough detail, Skinner believed this, if you could map out people's life with enough detail from their birth to now, you could actually predict with 100% accuracy their next set of actions, i.e. there's no free will. You know what they're going to do. Dostoevsky was like, yeah, it don't work like that. But he was before Skinner slightly, so the two didn't really discuss anything or marry up. But clearly the discussion had happened somewhere for Dostoevsky to go down this route. But he said, no, the first thing that will happen if you start thinking you can do that with people, they'll just irrationally break stuff, even if it hurts themselves, both emotionally and or physically. So he was very, very strongly in the camp of, yeah, there's free will. But how does that relate to dogs? And it does. Dogs are way less conscious than humans. So when I was looking into this, dogs run on somewhere between 2 to 3% conscious brain power. Humans, somewhere between 10 and 5% conscious brain power. So when you're doing behaviors and humans can spin off all their multiple avatars of themselves into the future and see which ones die and which ones get hurt and which ones get robbed or which ones actually make all the money, dogs can't do that. So dogs have far, far less free will. And that's where the crunch point of, well, why would you punish an animal that doesn't actually really have a choice to do what it's doing? It's reacting to something in its environment. And it's not doing it in a conscious way. It's not saying, I think I need to do that. It's doing it in a feeling way through the 5 senses it's got going into the brain, and the emotional side of the survival side of the ancient brain, the emotional side of the brain on top of that, is then informing the dog what it has to do to react. And you're then going to, and I hate myself for doing it, strangle your dog because it's doing something you don't want. You're going to zap it with an e-collar or a prong, whatever your punishment might be. You're doing that to an animal which didn't choose to do that behavior. You're doing that to an animal which brain is telling it that is the best way for you to survive and navigate this situation. That's where the free will argument gets into the dog bit. It's quite stark when you think of it like that, in terms of a dog is not conscious like people. They have consciousness. They can think. Of course they can. They actually have a theory of mind. If you read Dr. Gregory Burns, he likens their theory of mind to about a 2 to 3 year old human child. So they can think, they can do conscious stuff, but it's like 2 to 3% of the stuff they do. It's just tiny, tiny little things. It's not going to be situations where they're out in the big wide world working, doing their job, or they're out on a walk with you and everything's inputting into their brain through their five senses like
Right.
mad, because their senses
Right.
are just so overpowered compared to us. They're not doing conscious stuff at that point. So that's where the free will argument gets sticky with dogs. It's the one punishment I get. I punish dogs. I have a leash, I restrain them. I'm punishing the dog. I get it. But when you start to turn what I call the world according to Pete, retribution. So if a dog does something I don't want and I'm restraining it, then I up my punishment to the next level. I pop the leash, or I give them a slap or a kick. I'm not going to do that. Or if someone starts zapping them with an e-collar, I call that retribution, because that's no longer punishment. Punishment is you're stopping your dog from doing the thing it wants to do. Retribution is now you're getting pissed off that it's doing something you don't want.
Yeah.
So you're taking now on the dog. That's the next level up. So yeah, that's the free will argument that gets very, very strange and very sticky with dogs. Humans, yeah, I do fall into the camp. We have free will, and that's from reading people like Dostoevsky. There's a couple of other people I've read into that are on that side. But with dogs, yeah, don't really. They have a little bit, like how they interact with you at home when they're relaxed. That's going to be some conscious stuff going on there. But for the most part, they don't have free will. Nah. Is that controversial enough? Was that explained well
No,
enough?
man,
Anything
I loved it.
missed?
I loved it. No, so what would you say to this then, Pete? Because I I've thought about this, and when I hear this information, I guess what I always think is, okay, if animals, creatures, if all life on Earth is born with, say, like a blank slate, a blank script, and through our experiences in the environment, we are sort of building these scripts through the information we gather in the environment. Like, for instance, if I I'll just use the easiest example, the hot stove. I put my hand on the hot stove, I burn the shit out of my hand. I know, fuck, I shouldn't do that. It hurts. The environment is now in a way punishing me, and I know I should not do that again, because that is not beneficial to my survival. So if I'm part of the environment and my dog is let's say that the dog is experiencing the world through its eyes, but now I'm part of its environment, and I'm the dog is doing something that is detrimental to its survival, and I'm trying to intervene to say, don't do that. I'm like the hot stove, you know what I mean, where my goal isn't to be mean or inflict retribution, but to simply say to the dog, like, don't do this, because it is not beneficial to you or to me for you to do this, which is why I don't approve of it. I'm looking out for your best interest in the long run. So, like, I'm part of the environment, where if I was just a creature born in the world trying to navigate to figure out how to survive, well, the environment is going to give me clues as to how do I navigate this 3D realm so I can live the longest, so I can avoid danger, so I can if a threat presents itself, I know how to respond to that. I can, so it's, do you see what I'm getting at? Where
I do see what you're getting at.
Yeah.
So the way I view that is the dog will never connect your actions to you trying to show it that what it's trying to do is dangerous. The dog's operant conditioning and conscious brain are not strong enough to make those connections. That will only work for a human. You can do that for a human person, and they will understand your actions to be trying to keep them safe from something. The dog will never understand that, because they have to learn an environment for themselves using their own brains to understand that it's unsafe. What they will, however, pick up on is that you don't want them to do that. But that's where the thought process will stop. They won't go, he doesn't want me to do that because it's unsafe, I might die.
Right,
it's just, he doesn't want me to do that. Well, what about that environment? I want to know about it. I don't understand that environment. I don't know how to understand that environment unless I go get involved in it.
Sure.
And it's the classic argument of, would you let a dog run out in front of a car and get hit just to learn that running out in front of cars, getting hit is not a good idea? My answer to that is no, I'm not going to do that. You might be able to run a careful experiment if you just put an automatic car and drive and stand in front of it and let it hit you and your dog, and you see, oh, these are big, heavy, and powerful. Don't like this. No fun. Not suggesting anyone does that. Don't do that. Of course we don't. Just we don't go stand in a road and go, come on, dog, let's learn how much this hurts. We don't want to run in front of a car.
Right.
But the dog does. So the dog doesn't understand it. So this is why street dogs in particular are so good at crossing
I
roads.
was just gonna
They
ask you
do
about that.
learn.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
They
Go
do
ahead.
learn that. They learn that the hard way, or they see a dog learning that the hard way. Or on the flip side, they see the dogs crossing the road successfully where the traffic stops for them on crossings. And so they learn how to do that without getting hurt.
Yeah.
They don't really know that the car's hurt. What they kind of see is the car's just going by, like, I can't get past this.
Right.
So my two have learned the wrong lesson because they're good looking dogs and are very distinctive. We go near a busy road, the traffic stops. So my two have learned that stepping out into a road means cars stop, because they do. And people actually stop driving and wind their window down and start talking to me as I'm walking along with my dogs. And so my dogs have picked up the wrong lesson. They think cars stop for them. So my two are not very sensible by the side of roads at times. So I have to keep them on leash because they have learned the wrong damn lessons, because people see them and they stop driving.
Yeah.
My dogs are never going to learn that a road is dangerous because
I know
everybody
what you
stops
mean.
what they're
Yeah.
doing. And so, yeah, they will, but they'll never understand a car's dangerous because they've never been
Right.
hit by one. It's just an object in the way they have to navigate past, or it's something their owner doesn't want them going near. Why?
Yeah.
They don't even have that. They don't even have that thought. It doesn't go that far.
Right.
They're not sufficiently conscious to do that next level of thought process.
Yeah. No, and I agree with that. I guess me saying I was saying that more from my perspective, saying like I'm telling you not to do this.
Yeah.
Try to keep. Yeah. But I know the dog is not. That's not going that far with its thought process. But
yeah. I'm not saying don't do that. We all do.
Yeah.
We all do.
I was going to ask you. Go ahead. Were you going to finish? Were you going to say something?
No, I'd finish. Carol. No, Carol.
No, it's because I was going to ask you, like, and this is why I made that video talking about the value of a dog who has gotten those lessons, because that dog can recognize danger in the world. Which this is why I have no problem with my dog, experiencing something in the environment and saying, I don't want to go near that, because she's learned that through her time as a stray dog. So to me, that's a beneficial thing, because that's going to keep her safe in the long run. I don't have to worry about her running into the road and getting hit by a car. I don't have to worry about her making decisions like that are going to threaten her life. I don't have to tell her not to do. She already knows that shit. So nature has done its job for me, and that's why it's like people can say what they want about it as far as her wanting to not move forward or resisting but to me, that is a net positive, because there's so many benefits that come with that mentality and her understanding the real world, as opposed to a dog who doesn't, and it'll just run in the road and get hit by a car because it doesn't know any better,
So there is one way you can imprint some avoidance on. If you, and it's very dog dependent, again, not advising people do this. If you show fear towards the thing you don't want your dog going near, you can imprint that fear onto the dog. But depending on the dog you have, they might decide they want to go kill that thing you're now scared of, or they might decide they're going to avoid that thing you're now scared of. So that's a risk I would never take. I'm not doing that. I don't advise people do that, but that is how your influence can impact the dog in that regard. As for pausing and dogs not wanting to move forward, I've been there. Rollo in particular, when he was younger, there's a subway at the railway station where we are for pedestrians to go under the railway tracks. He did not want to come down there with me for the first couple of years of his life. And being what I was with slip leashes, I made him. And then when he went back onto the flat collar and leash and I started really building a relationship with him, didn't want to begin with, but eventually he was happy to start going down there. That took time. It took a long time to build, because his desire to follow me through this scary place had to be built up by his trust in me, and now he can and will do it without really any issue. It's not his favorite place in the world. He doesn't like it. The noises of the trains should want to arrive is pretty damn loud. I get it. He can't see what's making that noise. He doesn't know if it's safe or not. But we've been down there 10 or so times now, and they follow me. It's not a problem. But it goes back to my earlier one. The leashes prevent leadership. If a dog's not coming with you, even if it's off leash, there's a negotiation occurring at that point. How far, if you move far enough away, will your dog follow you or not? Or are they saying, hey, no, I'm really not happy with this? And then you have to think, well, okay, where is the relationship build going to occur in this scenario? Where is the relationship destruction going to occur? If I just keep walking, is this strong enough for the dog to actually get brave and follow me and then have that relief flooding through of removing the fear? Or is is this a bigger problem than that? And actually, I need to acknowledge this is a bigger problem than that, and we need to find a different way to go where we're trying to get to. And that's never easy to figure out, and that's what I had to do with him. And yeah, he didn't want to go down that underpass. I went out of sight, and bear in mind, this is in the middle of my town centre where there's cameras everywhere, and a Tibetan Mastiff off leash is not something I was really comfortable doing, especially if he's getting scared around a busy railway station. So I had him on the long line. I think it was the 20-metre long line, so that's 66 feet, and I disappeared off down this tunnel, and he wouldn't come. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to force him. Done this before.
Yeah.
And so I acknowledged his issue, and we went a different way over it. And I practiced a couple more times after a few months, going other places, doing stuff with him, just building that relationship. Came back to it another day, same deal. I just started letting the leash out and just walked down there. I turned around when I saw he wasn't following him, kind of looked at him, questioning, like, you coming? And then he went, you know, actually, yeah. And he tried. He didn't walk. He wasn't confident, and he just went. Whereas if I dragged him, in my view, I'm harming that relationship where he will think of me. He's not acknowledging my fears. He's not taking into account what I'm feeling. That's going to reduce my trust in this guy, because this is now all about him. It's not about us having a time together as friends, as partners. I use that language deliberately. I do genuinely treat my dog like that. He is a friend. He is a partner. He is allowed to choose things we do and not do. And I sometimes there's limits to that. But obviously, but that is generally how I approach it. So it's a constant negotiation, always. Like if he wants to go off in a random ass direction, or if he just wants to lie down in the field on a Saturday when we're out somewhere further away, I'm like, I am okay with this. This is what friends do. If I went with you to a pub or a restaurant, and we were sat there, and you were like, I'm not enjoying this one so much. Can we go somewhere else? It's a negotiation at that point. I can either say, yeah, fine, no problem, let's go find somewhere you'll enjoy more. Or I can say, no, I'm actually having a really good time. I would like to stay here. And you negotiate. You either don't do that or you do. And it doesn't matter which way you go. One of those routes can be harmful to your relationship. One of them can be beneficial to your relationship. One can kind of be a bit of mutual discomfort in either direction. But it's that constant discussion and negotiation that builds that relationship and then overcomes the fear. You can move forward. When you come across other difficult situations, and that enables you to relax and start thinking, yeah, I've got this dog that's going to follow me. He understands what's going on. He understands that I trust him, and he trusts me because he knows I'm not going to make him do stuff. But he's also got his own smarts, so he can tell me, whoa, mate, I'm not comfy with this. I'm not sure about this. Give me a bit of time. Let's just work this one out. Which I think everyone sees with their dog from time to time. They'll stop walking and put the brakes on. It's normal. But how you overcome that, to me, is important, and something I don't do anymore but used to do. Is I'm not using a leash to do that. I will wait, and if the dog is telling me really not happy, okay, we'll go a different way. I want you to know that that's okay with me. I can trust that decision. I know some people will say, yeah, but you're not confronting the fear at that point. No, I'm not. Because the best way to overcome fear, lean on human psychology again, best way to overcome fear is voluntary confrontation of that fear with someone you trust. We know that from human psychology, and my source from that is Dr. Jordan Peterson. That is something he's written and talked about extensively. Best way for humans to overcome their fear, and applies to all mammals as well, is voluntary confrontation of that fear with someone you trust. Keyword, voluntary. You got a leash on and you got pressure on that leash, not voluntary. You're not building trust. End of discussion. A bit of a brutal end point. Didn't mean that to come across so blunt.
No.
But that's how I view. That's how I view it. That is a human way of approaching it, but that's how I deal with it with dogs. I have to have them voluntarily confronting the fear. If it's not voluntarily confronting the fear, I'm making them do something. I'm not building trust. And yes, I do that. Like for an example, like I've been 25 minutes, I'm late for something, someone else's appointment, we've got to go, he doesn't want to get in the car. Get in the car. Like we've done this 6 times. Of course, occasionally you're going to do that. You're going to go, I ain't got time for this right now. I live in a society where I've got other stuff to do. Trying to build with you. Occasionally you've got to do stuff. You just got to get stuff done. I get it. Yep. Yeah. That happens. But so the vet's a great example. Vet is, a lot of people have trouble with their dogs at the vet. He's fine as long as the vet's not scared of him. You should see some of the vet's reactions when they open the door to the consult room and he's looking at them.
Usually it's the other way around. As long as the dog's not scared of the vet. No, as long as the vet's not scared of my dog.
Yeah. That is exactly how it works. If the vet walks in and they're scared of him, he will not let them touch him. Absolutely not. It's just not going to happen. He
Yeah,
does not let
yeah.
scared people touch him, and of course you
I
don't. You
believe that.
don't let
Yeah,
scared people touch you. Like if someone's
absolutely.
coming
No,
up to you, and
no.
you could just see they're like, "I'm not sure
Yeah,
about you. I'm not sure about
yeah,
you. Can I touch? Can I
yeah,
stab you with a needle and inject you?" You'd be like, "If you
yeah.
touch me, I'm going to break your
And then-
face."
exactly,
But
exactly.
yeah, of
Yeah, all the
course he's
dog
going to say
reads
it.
is
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
unstable, and it's like a
yeah.
threat.
Exactly.
No, get away
Yeah,
from me. Yeah, no,
exactly.
and
And
I
so,
don't. Well, I was just
go
gonna
ahead.
say because I'm not even somebody who believes that you need to force your dog to confront all fears anyway. Like I think there are some
Mm,
things that if the dog is scared of X thing and it's not necessary for me to work them through that, then who cares? It's not. I don't need to do it. I don't
mm.
think we it's necessary to make my dog okay with everything in life
No, you don't.
because
Because you
yeah
can lean on the
I just
relationship to overcome things you've not seen before with the dog. You don't have
yeah
to overcome every single thing that
right
exists. You have to
yeah
have a good relationship and trust, and then you can go and do stuff which you may not have seen before. Yeah.
yeah. So it was just to your point that it's like you're not going to conquer fears unless it's voluntary, and I'm just like yeah. And there's some fears to me. It's like we don't need to even confront it at all. It's like it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You're scared
Yeah.
of
We
it,
can get,
cool.
yeah.
I got things I'm scared of, and no one on planet Earth is gonna make me confront them because it's not necessary for my survival to confront them. You know?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. The dogs are the same. If it's not necessary
Yeah.
to need to get over the particular fear, then why would you? Yeah. Of
Right.
course.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. You've got a dog that's got a fear of getting on aeroplanes, for example. Not that many dogs do, but some service animals do. Right. I don't need my dogs on airplanes. I don't care that they'll be terrified of going on an airplane. They've never been on one before, and they're 5 years old. Of
Right.
course, they're going to
Right.
be terrified. But we don't.
Yeah.
We don't need to try and overcome that fear. That's not ever going to
Exactly.
be a
We don't
thing.
have to get on a fucking
Yeah.
airplane. You're right.
Yeah.
It's not
Exactly.
necessary. Yeah.
Not
You
going to
know,
do that.
and there are plenty of things that like Goose, for instance. Is she cool with garbage trucks still? No, but we can walk
Mm,
outside and we can have a normal walk when they're out there.
mm,
You know, when they get close, does she want to avoid them? Sure, but to me that's normal. It's like it doesn't ruin the walk. It's like with the landscapers. We have no issues with any of
mm,
that stuff, and so it's as long as I can go
yeah.
about my day to day routine without
Mm,
disruptions, then we're all good.
yeah.
I don't
Mm.
have an issue. You know.
And the more times you go about your routine and you're not making a big deal out of the trucks, the more she's just going to get
Exactly.
used to it and go over it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which she has. She's perfectly fine with all that stuff.
Mm,
You know, I recorded a video a couple weeks ago. We were walking, and there was a garbage truck like 30 feet away, and she saw it, and we walked towards it. But we were going home. We walked towards it, and she was fine. She kept moving. She didn't give a fuck about the garbage
mm,
truck. You know,
mm, mm.
and so it's
Yeah,
like,
that's the goal.
yeah. Um, I forgot where I was going somewhere with the free will conversation, but now I can't particularly remember. Was there a direction you wanted to take?
No, I think we covered it. I made the point that dogs don't really have free will. Humans is far more limited than we, as a collective, think we have. Um, it is an odd part of science. There is a determinist view of it, and there is the opposite side of the spectrum. They're still
Right.
shouting at each other
Right.
across the divide.
Yes.
It's really up to you as an adult to decide which side of that divide you fall on. I know where I sit. I've read
Yeah.
some of psychologists on both sides of that divide. Yeah,
And the
I know
interesting
what they
thing
think.
about the subconscious mind to me too is because I've read books and I've explored this concept of if your subconscious mind can be programmed,
Mm.
then you can use your conscious mind to reprogram your subconscious mind, and you can
Yes,
so it's not like you're necessarily even a victim to your subconscious mind. You
yep,
could take steps
yep,
to reprogram it so that you run a different script.
yes, yeah, correct. I can't remember who it was that was talking about that. I did watch some recently. Maybe it was Chase Hughes, maybe it wasn't. But
It
just
might have
to
been
make it
fake. Yeah.
as most controversial as we possibly can, let's chuck religion in here. So what you've just described, which I think Chase used to talk about, is, as far as I recall from my earlier days when I was young, so I grew up in a family that went to church. the Christian concept of sanctification is
Uh-oh.
the words more holy
Oh.
or less sinful. You
Hey,
are
Pete,
rewiring your
Pete,
conscious brain. Yep.
Pete, you cut out for a second. I think your signal cut out. So I heard you say you were getting into theology, and then you, yeah. If you just want to start there again.
Okay, so yeah, I said let's get controversial and get religion involved. So
Hell yeah, that's one of my favorite stuff. Go ahead. That's my I love going there.
yeah, so what you just described about rewiring your brain, which I agree. I think it was Chase Hughes was talking about it, but it might have been Jordan Peterson as well that talked about it. But my understanding of how the Christians view your change when you try to overcome sinful habits, whatever they might be, the conscious effort required to do that is actually doing that rewiring of your neurons in your brain.
Right.
They call
Right,
it sanctification in religion, but it's the
Okay.
same process. That's a colloquial religious name for the same process. That's what's going on. It's a conscious decision not to be the victim of your past choices, consequences, whatever that might be. You have decided to change that, and you can literally rewire your reward paths in your brains and do stuff differently. That's a weird thought. You are not the victim to your brain, which is an argument the free willers go on.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
but-
As
and
if
the
I
other-
hey, my favorite example, Pete, if I choose to pick up the can, I choose to drink from the can. I choose to put the can down. Right.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
no,
know you're
it's
being
yeah,
flippant
right.
with that, but yes.
But no, and it's I don't know if you know who Joe Dispenza is, but he was he was a guy who wrote some books. He had a horrible accident where like all of his bones were broken, and he was hospital ridden for months, but he is where he discovered that it was more of a mind over matter kind of a thing, and that's where you get into like neuroplasticity and like you can if you say or have you ever read the book or the book if you think it what the hell is the name of that book
If you think it, you
Now
can
I
be
think-
it.
well no it's a really old book but it's
Okay.
God damn it it's a really short one too but I forget the title of it but essentially it's talking about how your thoughts are like seeds and if you're not if you're not conscious of what you think like basically what you think about is what you become because your thoughts determine your actions right
Mhm.
and or I should say I forget where emotions play into this but your thoughts lead to your actions and basically it becomes everything becomes a habit and so if you're not careful at the level of thought and what you're thinking then of course it's going to influence the actions or choices that you take so of course if your thoughts are different it's going to lead you to make different choices so that you can become somebody different so that's like a minute to minute day to day grind of just like being like okay I'm gonna consciously choose to think about different things so that way I can influence my mind in a different way so that way it will lead to more thoughts like that so that I can change my life first with the way I think you know what I mean
Okay. Interesting. No, I'm not familiar with that, but it sounds like it aligns with things we've already just talked about. It does sound that way. Yeah, you are the sum of your previous experiences, and
Yeah.
you will act based on how those experiences turned out for you until you point your conscious at. Once you start pointing your conscious at things, you're in a slightly different ball game.
Definitely, yeah, and I think I don't know, it's my biggest problem with say the people who would argue that you don't have free will is to me it's like I automatically hear it as like I'm automatically victimizing myself, saying, "Well, I'm a slave to my environment. I'm a victim to my environment. I can't choose to change anything. Everything is what it is." And to me, that's like you're basically saying you have no control over your life whatsoever, and you're just gonna accept whatever comes. And to me, that's just the most. I don't know. I would not want to have that mindset or live that way because to me that's like very self-limiting and very self-defeating to just say like, well, I have no free will, so what's the point? Like I can't change my circumstances and I'm a product of my environment, so why even try? Why bother? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I kind of have a similar flavor on it. feels like you're being boxed in if you're just a product of the things around you, and that
Right.
it's quite maybe disorientating to run off in the concept that you're not in charge of what you do. That's a strange thing to think. Like I already commented earlier, like you imagine how messed up humans would be if from 12, 13 years old, or whatever the age of criminal culpability is where you are, you start telling people you're not actually in charge of what you do. You're not responsible for what you do.
I'm gonna
Do you
remember that.
think we'd have?
Imagine the entire legal system being based on that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
next time I show up to court, if I ever go to court, I'm gonna look at the judge, say, hey, listen, hey judge, according to mainstream psychology, like I don't know, I'm not responsible for my actions. I can't choose. My actions are not my own. I can't. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, it sounds funny, doesn't it? But genuinely, that is what people like Skinner were talking about. They're genuinely talking about that kind of thing. It's a very scary thought. That's what the determinists think. You are not, and so the punishment that sits inside of a justice system, they don't agree with that. I know Skinner's famous for his desire for a positive, reinforced-based society. Well, that's all well and good till you find someone who's truly broken in their brain and they're what you and I might call genuinely evil, and see no issue with the things they're doing, where they're just going around killing people and whatever else most evil thing you can think of, and they're just like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I don't like these people. There's something wrong with them. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, nah, we're not doing that. Thank you very much.
No, and I wouldn't tolerate that either. It's not.
No. The presuppositions that go with the moral framework to understand how a society would function like that.
Right. Now, I'll share a controversial opinion now. In my view, because there's so many things I disagree with about the legal system, also, but in my opinion, so let's say pedophiles, for instance. I think if someone gets accused, or if someone's found guilty of that, I think they should just get the death penalty. Like, let's just weed their genetics out of existence altogether. Why would we want their genes in the gene pool? Most of the time, they get released back into society anyway, and they do it again. Like, why should we tolerate that? You know what I mean?
Yep. No,
so,
I love the same.
There's
a lot of things I would add to that. There's a lot of things which I really, really think, why are we keeping these people around? It's a very, very difficult moral argument. Is there such a thing as a second chance? Can people change? Some people, yes. Some people, probably not. Can you ever build a system based on picking out the right ones and the wrong ones? Well, what we're doing now clearly can't. Only have to see what went on in Europe recently, or some of the cases that have been in the British news. That's just, I don't think some of these people should be allowed to still be alive. I really don't. But as with all things, who are the last people? Who are the last people on Earth I would ever trust with the power of life or death over fellow citizens? And that would be a government.
Right. Exactly.
Make that conundrum work. Yeah.
I know. That's something I often wrestle with too. It's like I am very much anti-government, but it's like, okay, we also need some kind of social order. So it's like, what do we do with that? Government has never, the history of humankind, government has been the number one cause of human suffering and death. But it's like, well, but we also need some kind of accountability, some kind of social order, something to keep things in check. But so it's like, what?
The problem is you get to the same place.
Yeah, it's like the question of is it a necessary evil or not?
Yeah, and it's always going to be a pendulum. You have complete anarchy on one end of the spectrum, and you have tyrannical government on the other. They're effectively the same place, just death and destruction in both.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, well, hold on, Judette's been asking a question. I can't see. I'm sorry, Jude. I can't see the whole thing, but she's so. Let's see. If dogs have no free will, why do they shut down and capture? I'm sorry, Judah. I can't read the same thing, or I can't read the whole thing. My screen is not at 100% at the moment. But she's been asking questions about free will, like if dogs have no free will, why do they do this? Or I think she's just asking questions about free will in relation to dogs.
It comes down to genetics and the way the brain is processing how to best survive and how to, let's go to Skinner's operant conditioning. The whole point of an animal existing is to procreate, is to keep the line of the species going. So to do that, it needs to survive, it needs to gather resources, it needs to find a mate, it needs to find a suitable place to raise offspring. They're the fundamental underlying base across all mammals, things that go on in the deepest, darkest parts of the brain. So that's what all animals are seeking out to do, seeking out survival first, procreation second, places to raise a person and place to raise their young. So when you've got an animal that's trying to achieve those things, it's not trying to achieve those things consciously. The dog's not walking around going, well, today I need to find my mate.
Yeah.
It's not how,
I know what you
it
mean.
works. Yeah.
It's
so
like
they're
it's like. Oh, go ahead and finish. Go ahead and finish, Pete.
So that's what they're trying to achieve on a day-to-day basis in the big picture terms. What that looks like on the micro scale from day to day is you see them doing the things they do, and each interaction they have with a person, another dog, with the environment, something either shuts them down or makes them move forward, is in response to those base impulses of I need to survive, I need to get food, I need to get water, I need to find a mate, I need to reproduce. Different if you cut their nuts off, they don't have a desire to reproduce anymore so much. But that's the base things they're doing, and that explains all concepts of moving forward, because an animal which is truly satiated and satisfied, go look at a lion pride or a wolf pride 3 hours after they've made a kill and they've all eaten. What are they doing? Nothing. They sleep off their sleep off their meal, and then they just rest and doze for the next day. They don't do anything. That is true satiation. That is the goal of all living mammals to get to, is I've got all the food I need, I've had all the water I need, I've mated, I have offspring, I have a safe place, there's no predators here. What do? Nothing. Don't move.
I know.
Literally just breathe.
Yeah,
And
I
so
know.
when you
I
deviate
think
from
I
that-
understand. Yeah, and I think when you, yeah, I think I'm starting to understand what you're saying. Well, like when you say they have no free will, and I've thought of this like where I think of like, imagine everything's running on a program. Like birds run on a bird program, dogs run on dog program,
Yeah.
gorillas run on gorilla program. You know, they all have.
It's just genetics. Yeah.
It's genetic, right? They have their genetic programming that they're running on, just like a computer has its program, its coding that it runs on. You know, all it knows is a binary system of ones and zeros. That's its language. And you know, birds fly, fish swim, dogs walk. Yeah, that's just everything carries out its biological what's the word? It's biological
function.
Imperative.
Imperative.
Yeah.
Imperative. Yeah.
But I think so I think where the struggle maybe is like suggesting that they have that foundational level, but does that mean that dogs don't consciously choose, you know, between this and this? You know what I mean?
No,
like
it doesn't matter. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't mean that. They do choose. They have conscious. They do
And-
have
and
a
I
little bit
figured
of conscious at
that's-
2 or 3%.
I figured that would be the answer, because it's like I see it like this. You know, if I let's say I have a really strong personality dog, doesn't matter the breed. Let's just say I have a strong-headed dog, and I'm being part of the environment, but a dog has a certain, the dog's operating on dog programming, right? Its hardwiring is of a certain. It is responding to certain things in the environment based on its code, and so if I behave like prey, like if I'm very timid, if I'm very meek, if I show a lot of soft qualities, but then this dog is very assertive, well, the dog's programming is going to tell it certain things about me, and its natural drive is going to be, well, I'm going to take control of this territory. This is my territory now. And if you, because we go back to hierarchy, if you challenge me, because I view you as you have shown me through your communication, through certain information you've given me, that you are a subordinate, and that I'm above you. If you challenge me in any way, I'm going to put you in your place, because this is my shit. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like the dog has no choice but to go there based on everything you've said to it. You know what I mean?
They're reacting to you, and your energy levels, your force of personality is under their interpretive system in the deepest, darkest recesses of the brain, which processes what you are and how to react to the signals you're giving off. Bear in mind, they can smell your level of fear, they can smell your level of adrenaline, of comfort, of everything else. They can read us like a book, basically, through their senses. They just read it like a book. They know everything about you. So that gets processed deep down in the brain and goes, okay, this person probably isn't going to be able to protect me. They're probably not interested in protecting me. That's not conscious. That is completely down in the deepest, darkest recesses of the brain. And so they will step up and be like, I'm going to take control because I need to be safe. I need to survive. You can be in my pack. Two might be better than one, but you're not leading, so I am.
Yeah.
So sit down and shut up, human. I'm in charge.
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much. Exactly. And then this because this is where I think there's a lot of confusion is, let's say you have that dynamic and you don't there's a rule the dog is made for you that you're not aware of, and you break that rule, and now the dog is trying to discipline you, like it snaps at you or bites you. And it, a lot of people say like it was totally random, came out of nowhere. It's like, well, the dog had in the dog's mind, it had a reason to do it. You may not understand it.
Yeah. But all behavior has a cause. All of it.
Right. It is not random. It's telling you something. You may not be aware of what's going on there, but yeah, it's essentially, it's like the dog is saying like, you are breaking my rules, human. And I'm putting you in your place. And so and then the ball gets rolling down that road, and then things just spiral out of control, and it just becomes worse and worse and worse. It's like, and then people end up living with this monster they created, then they didn't even know they created it, because they don't understand the code the dog is running on,
Yeah, the most common example you'll see of that is resource guarding food.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
It's a pure
definitely is.
Trust and leadership thing. It's absolutely a trust and leadership thing. Dog is resource guarding food against an owner. There's a trust and leadership issue deficit. That's the word I'm looking for. There's a trust deficit going on and a leadership deficit going on. It's that simple. And I really took dog training to task in one of my articles. I wrote on my website about this. There's a freaking idiot with a prosthetic hand trying to work a dog in a prong collar around some food in a dog training facility, and the dog nearly mauls him. And one of the pictures he's got, I didn't catch the name. I deliberately anonymized the name. And
was it prosthetic canine? Is that what?
No. But it had the dog off the floor. There's a picture on my website in the article. The dog off the floor in this prong collar because it's tried to maul him. And
wow.
I'm just astonished. This is an animal. This is a sentient animal that you don't know, Mr. Trainer, and you have decided that you should be able to walk up to this animal and touch it while it's eating its food, or take its food off it. Are you mental? Are you actually mental? I would not dare do that to a client's dog the first, 50 times I've met them or walked to them. I'm not a leader yet in their eyes to that level. I'm not trusted to that level. This is a former wolf you're working with. All right, let's leave the toy poodles out of this. I don't know if those guys. I don't know if those guys are former wolves, hamsters. But it just wouldn't dare. Why? Because I have more respect for a dog. It's a sentient being with its own brain, its own way of seeing the world, its own knowledge of survival, its own genetic imprint as to what it owns and what it does not own. I would never walk up to someone else's dog and dare try to take food off it. If I got bit doing that, well, serves me damn right, you fool. Don't be stupid. Yeah. I got really pissy and sad and argued with the guy actually on Instagram about it and said to him, if you did that to me, I'd try and unalive you too. I'd bear a grudge long enough to actually do it. You string me up by the neck off the floor in a prong collar because you're poking me with a prosthetic hand while I eat, and then saying you're going to claim my food. Like, we're fighting. Like, we're going to death. Then you're going to end.
What's funny too is the first thing I'll say to that is oh shit, now I forgot what I was going to. Well, I'll go to the second thing then. The second thing would be see for me, and this is where like dog training, like learning theory, it all falls apart. Is for me, it's everything that's important about that scenario is everything leading up to me giving the dog the food, rather than just giving the dog the food and then trying to work backwards, trying to take the dog's food away. No, it's like I need to establish things before the dog even gets the food, so I can avoid the dog being aggressive toward me after it's gotten it. You know what I mean? It's like, but they see it through this lens of like, well, if I give the dog the food and then punish the dog when it does that, it's like, no, 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 no.
Yeah. Yeah. It
You're
doesn't work
working
like
backwards.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're working backwards and you're working against the dog. Let's work with the dog's nature, but you're working against it.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. It's
Damn
weird.
it! What was the first thing I was
Oh.
going to say? Was I can't remember. It'll come to me. But oh, can you so yeah? There's some misunderstandings about what the definition of sentient is. Do you know what the definition is?
Well, I don't have a definition off the top of my head. I haven't delved into what that means.
It's simple. Sentient is just a I believe a conscious being who can just it feels pain. It has sensory experience through its environment. Pain, emotion, whatever.
Okay.
That's all a sentient
being.
being.
Has sensory input.
Yeah, and but I sometimes I think there are certain people who hear that word and they automatically they believe that word means we're saying they're exactly like humans, and that's not what the word means, except that we are both sentient beings and that we experience the environment through sensory experience, pain, emotion, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not a way of humanizing the dog.
No, not at all. They have their own sensory inputs and their own sensory experiences, which would be weird to be plugged into. Imagine having a nose 100,000 times stronger than the one we got.
I know. Sometimes I'm like, I wonder what the world smells like through their nose.
It must be absolutely crazy. Yeah, to be able to hear a butterfly fart from 200 meters away.
I don't know if I would want that, to be honest with you, because then you could smell the fart afterwards too. You could
you would. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to sleep, because the smells would be horrible. Yeah,
right. Although I don't know, they can smell a pile of shit and think there's something tasty in there. So it's like I don't know what necessarily they pick up.
Yeah, they must be able to shut off the repulsive part of the brain,
maybe. I don't know.
Can stop them from going. Well, I don't know. You show them something they don't like the smell of. Lettuce is probably a good one. Shove a lettuce in their nose.
Yeah, they're like.
I don't know how it works.
Did you see the video? There was some woman who was trying to prove her dog was vegan, and she put a piece of lettuce in a bowl and then some meat, and she genuinely thought the dog was going to go for the lettuce, so she puts it down, and the dog she lets her dog make the choice, and of course the dog goes to the meat, and she cut the camera off right away. It's like, well, what did you think was going to happen? The dog is not.
Here's a controversial one for you. So what dogs are is facultative carnivores. With all that's a nice big word in front of that. What does that mean? So dogs are facultative carnivores. So what that means is their primary food source is meat. They're prey. They hunt prey, eat prey, but actually they spend quite a lot of time eating non-meat when they can't get meat. So the last set of wolf studies I was looking at, I can't remember where they were. They were either in Minnesota or Yellowstone wolves. They've been tracking what the wolves have been eating, and long term there was up to 40% fruit and vegetable matter in the dog's scat, and that was over a course of a year. They kept measuring once every other week, and they found that actually wolves will eat up to at times of no food 60% veg and fruit.
Yeah, I think I read something like that when they have no choice. Like my dog's friend, like my previous two dogs, and to your point, Jay, you said one of your dog. I can't read the rest of it. Said one of your dogs likes lettuce. Because I'm of the opinion that dogs are not obligate carnivores, but they they're opportunistic eaters, but they are predatory. They hunt prey. However, they do eat plant food. They don't, but they're not. The people that think they're vegan or they should eat a vegan. It's like no. They're not.
The technical term is facultative. Carnivore.
Is that what it's called? Facultative. Yeah, they like my previous dogs. They the long flat grass that grows. Sometimes it grows near water. Like my last two dogs, especially my girl, she loved to munch on just that grass. And my boy, I knew when he had an upset stomach because he would go out and he would eat the regular grass. But when he would. If his stomach was fine, he would not eat the regular grass, and he would eat the flat grass. They just loved eating the flat grass, and they loved fruit. I would make fruit as part of their diet, but I mean most of their diet was meat. But they loved fruit. They would eat the grass, and it's Um, so I don't believe they're obligate carnivore. They
No,
don't
they're not.
necessarily thrive on a 100% meat diet.
Yeah, so mine like fruit too.
Yeah, yeah, and it just depends on the price. Like Judette, your dog probably loves lettuce, but a lot of dogs don't. And it's just some dogs have different preferences. Like Goose doesn't, she doesn't like apples or melon, but like my last two dogs, they loved apples, melons, bananas. It just
Yeah,
depends
okay.
on the dog's preference.
No, mine don't like that. So mine dogs have expensive tastes. Their
Oh, do
their
they?
favorite fruit is dates.
Oh, well, I love dates too. Yeah, I can understand that. You don't like it? No. Is there
Yeah,
Delta? Is there an Echo? Is there still an Echo?
there is still an echo. Yeah.
Echo when Pete talks. Okay. Is there an Echo when I talk?
No.
Okay. Your signal did cut out for a second there. I wonder, did the Echo come after his signal got interrupted? No. Has there been an Echo the whole time?
No, it's only been the last couple of minutes.
I think I know. The Echo is probably coming from my. It's probably coming from. Oh, was it right after? I don't know. Let me try to. Okay, go ahead and talk, Pete.
Sorry.
Or actually,
Yeah,
is the Echo still there?
Yep.
God damn it.
Well, it's barking. It's huffing.
Shit.
That's a good echo test.
Right, right. Damn it. And my Bluetooth, of course, doesn't want to connect.
Oh, is that what's happened? Your Bluetooth is disconnected.
I'm surprised there wasn't an echo before. Let me see here. Yeah, I thought maybe it was because it was coming through, like the echo of you talking coming through the speaker. But
Yeah, could have been that.
God damn it! I don't know why my Bluetooth does not want to. It doesn't want to work with this. I don't understand it. It's not normal. Guys, is the echo bad? Is it bad or? How bad is it, guys? Is it a bad echo?
Someone else.
You say it died down? Died down, Delta?
Yeah, I can't hear myself again now. Oh, I can. It's back.
God damn it. Oh, you know what? Hold on a second. Let me try something. Let me link my Bluetooth, but not use it. And let's see if that actually can.
Okay.
Let me see if that works. Okay, is it still there?
I can hear it just. It's quieter than it was.
Okay, quieter. All right. We'll roll with quiet. We'll end it here soon then, Pete, because if my Bluetooth worked, we could eliminate it, but I don't want to annoy everybody.
Yeah, no problems. Best
Okay, I guess then to to wrap it up, is there any questions you guys have? You guys want to ask Pete anything, or anything you guys want to know?
Bear in mind, I can't see the screen.
Oh yeah. I'll repeat the question to Pete since he can't see the screen. Okay, Warren Dogs. What's up, Warren Dog? He said if we didn't have free will and even. God damn it, I can't see the full word. And even something with someone, it wouldn't have any value. I know love is the last word, but I don't know the word in between. If we didn't have free will and even. Are you saying Warren Dogs and even fall in love with someone, it wouldn't have any value? It wouldn't be love? Is that what the question is? Or are you making
Interesting question.
That was more like a statement. Is that a statement rather than a question? Okay, I think I see what you're saying, Warren. You're saying if we don't have free will and we fall in love with somebody, it wouldn't have any value because you didn't. I see what you're saying, where it's like, what meaning does it have if you didn't really choose it? I mean, I would argue on some level, like attraction and love is kind of out of our. It's not really a choice anyway. You know what I mean? It's kind of something that's triggered in you.
It's a pre-programmed brain response.
Yeah, like there are certain women that are you're attracted to, and other women you're not so much, or you're other women you're repulsed by, and other it's
Yep.
there's so many
That's
variables.
not free will. It's your genetic code, and some of it will be based on your experiences.
Definitely, I would agree with that. Yeah, it's nice to know too, at least, because I know what women I'm attracted to, but I can't necessarily explain 100% of what what draws me to. But I know what I like. I know what I look for. I know what
I think the word is type. People have a type.
Yeah, they have the yeah, exactly. Any questions, guys? Or Judette's got one. She says, "Is free will on a spectrum based on IQ?" That's a good question, actually. That's a really good question.
I've not seen anything that would suggest that. But it's a really hard one to answer. I don't have the ability off the top of my head, but my instinct says no.
Yeah, I'll have to think about that. That's a good question. Oh, so yeah, Warren Dogs. I wouldn't disagree with you. He's saying there's a difference between attraction and love in humans.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I would agree with that. Yeah, there's a difference for sure. Like there's a difference between lust and love, or yeah, I totally. I do not believe in unconditional love. Although, well, I think a mother can unconditionally love her young, but I don't know. I don't believe people can love each other like people not related. I don't believe in that necessarily. I don't think. I don't even think love between dog and owner. I don't think that's unconditional either. I know a lot of people like to buy into that, but I don't. As you had said in a comment, Judah, relationships are transactional. Like it's a very transactional thing. There's a lot built on top of that, but it's transactional, and so it's conditional. If at least for me, there are conditions to people getting my time and attention, and so if people can't respect that, those the principles that I have, or the rules of what I allow into my life, if you will, well, they don't get any of it, and so that's the condition. It's like you may still have feelings towards that person, but it's not going to be. I wouldn't necessarily call it love though, but I don't know. It's a complicated one too, but
it is.
Yeah, Warren Dog Love is like. What do you mean? Oh, you're the Warren Dogs. You're a she. I didn't know that. Okay, that's news to me. I did not know that you're a she. Okay. Let's see. Dog love is lack of discernment. Dog love is lack of discernment. What do you think about that, P? I don't know. I'm trying.
I didn't hear the question. Say again.
Dog love is lack of discernment. I don't quite know what you mean.
Yeah, that requires a bit more explanation first.
Dog love is lack of discernment. I don't know. I'm going to give that. Yeah, if you could give a little more information about what you mean, Warren Dogs. Otherwise.
So, if I may jump in before we get that clarification,
sure.
My understanding of dog love is dependent on when you get your dog, I suppose. So when we rip puppies away from their owners at 8 to 10 weeks old, their systems are desperately trying to bond with something to replace the parents.
Sure. Yeah.
We kind of fit the bill as the mammal in the home and the thing that's now raising them. Can you call that love? We generally do as humans. We do that. Is it really? I don't know. I'm happy with that definition personally. It probably doesn't meet a scientific definition, but okay.
I think that's why it's complicated. That's why it's a very complicated thing. It's like, do we really even know what it is? To begin with. I'm gonna say something very few people know about me. It's gonna be a cold truth. I'm somebody who really I don't find myself loving anybody, even my dog. I don't like. I love my dog, but it's not like I don't miss people. I don't like even my girlfriend. Like my girl, I don't miss when they're gone. I don't miss them. I don't miss friends. I just don't. I don't know. I don't get emotionally attached. I used to, and I don't know. Maybe it's through harsh lessons that I've kind of shut that. Like I just don't operate that way anymore. But I tend to have a very just like not detached because I'm still very much involved with people, but it's just like I don't invest that part of myself to where it's like because in the way I've come to understand it is if I'm going to make good decisions as a leader, I can't involve emotion in that. I can't let emotion influence my decision making process. And so I've found that in the past, emotions tend to get in the way of making good decisions that benefit not just you but everybody. And so I don't know, that part of me I've kind of just like I've learned to just not let it get involved, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. You're different to me.
Yeah, yeah, and it's people who know me may say I could be a bit cold, but I'm still I'm still a warm, inviting person, but I can be a cold human for sure. Um, and so it's just I don't know. It's just kind of how I operate now. I just I've leaned more towards the like okay, here is the criteria for being in my life, and if you don't meet these criteria, then I cut you off and I move on. It's like I don't have any feeling toward it. It's like you're done. I move on with my life, and I don't look back. It's just like that's it, you know. That makes it very easy, you know. Now, okay, like when my last two dogs passed away, though, that was definitely probably the hardest thing I've ever dealt with, and I lost them both in the same year, and that was like, I mean, that shit rocked my world, you know. So to say that I didn't feel anything, like losing people, of course you're gonna feel something, but I guess it's just I don't know, I don't know what label I would put on it as far as like I love my family, I love my parents, but it's I don't know. I guess it may be different for a man. I don't know how you see that, Pete, for you and your relationships. I'm not sure what level you take it to, but
Um, yeah, different to you. I'm married with two children. My oldest is 18 and a half. My youngest is just coming up 16. Um, as for friends, yeah, growing up, I was not too dissimilar to you. I had a military father, so we were moving around every 2 to 3 years. So I had to get learning on how to drop friends, make friends, move on, and just cope with that before the age of phones. So you couldn't keep in contact with people. As an adult, that's kind of carried on, but I am using technology to keep in contact with people from when I used to live in England. So I do miss, yeah, I do miss people. I do get attached, but there's a part of me which is capable of just going. But I had to grow up like that. There was no other way of coping.
yeah. No, I get that, and that's more of like a necessity of circumstance. Like you just had to.
Yeah, that's literally my operant conditioning. I had to
Right.
learn how to
There you
lose
go.
friends and make friends.
You know, um, you know what, and this is something maybe you've experienced too, or you will, but I find that the things I struggle with the most, as far as feeling things nowadays, is actually with my clients. It's did I do a good enough job? Am I giving the best leadership possible? Am I doing everything I can to help them succeed? Am I going above? And if I don't feel like then I tend to I kind of self reflect and I'm like, okay, I could do this better. I could do this better. Or I fell short here. And then I used to beat myself up a lot in the past over things. Now I'll do it a little bit overthink. Like I could have done that better, and I may think about it for a while, but then I don't really dwell on it like I used like maybe when I was 10, 15 years younger. But I'm still always conscious of like, yeah, I have a hard time letting this go because I know I could have done this better. I feel like I
Mm.
failed them here, but I don't know. That's like the part of me that's really trying to focus on building the best leader in me that I can. That's I'm always thinking of that. How do I build
Nothing wrong with being
leaders every
self-critical.
day? What's that?
Nothing wrong with being self-critical.
No, not at all. I think it's important for self-growth. I think not. Sometimes I wonder if people are self-critical at all. Like if there's any self-awareness. It's like, do some people do they actually really sit and think about the things they do or the things they say and have self-reflection, and are they critical of the choices they make or what comes out of their mouth? Sometimes I'm just like, how do you say that and not look in the mirror and be like, you're a fucking hypocrite? You know what I mean?
Yes.
I can't operate that way. I can't do it because I wouldn't be able to I would have to look in the mirror and say, you said this thing and you know it's not true, and then you did this thing which makes you a hypocrite, or it's like I can't operate that way, you know? It would fuck me up.
Yeah, that's because you believe you're in control of your destiny.
Actually, that's something else I struggle with, Pete. What do you okay? What do you think as far as like fate versus you making your own destiny? Like what do you think is? Because I don't know for sure. Sometimes I think there are some synchronicities that happen in life where I'm like, is this predetermined, or like what the fuck is going on here? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's no clear answer to that. Sometimes I think, well, this is just meant to be, and other times I think, well, you're an idiot and made a stupid choice.
I definitely have had both of those. You know, I know what you mean. It's like I've experienced both.
Yeah.
But the good thing about making a stupid choice is that you can avoid making it again.
You know, if you're humble enough to learn from your stupid choices.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the I always forget the saying. It's like a mistake doesn't become a mistake. Like a choice doesn't become an error unless you repeat it. I forget how the saying goes, but basically, if you make a choice and it's the wrong one, well, if you repeat it, now it becomes a mistake. And if you repeat it again, well, now like you're consciously
you're not learning.
You're doing this thing you know you probably shouldn't. That is definitely like you are, that is an error at that point, you know. But anyway, what do we got going on here? Let's see. Okay, OT's got a question. Pete. Oh fuck, my screen is fucking me up. Pete, I think it's in regard to fears. Pete, I think what OT's saying, you don't want to push dogs through their fears, but what about irrational fears? I've encountered a new trash can my dog freaked out around until he got comfortable. Are you saying OT, like, are you, let me see if I understand this right. Yeah, I think maybe OT's asking, how would you handle a dog who has, like, irrational fears to something? Like a trash can. Trash can who just, like, the dog freaks out over it. It's like a huge reaction.
Yeah, exactly the same as I handle rational fears. I just act calmly, and there's two approaches. You can just avoid the thing slowly getting closer over long periods of time, i.e. weeks, months, whatever, or you can go and sit by the thing and just ignore it until the dog gets comfortable enough to come up to you. That's the two main approaches. So Tora, my female, she had a phobia of plastic things. Hang on a sec, the echo's too bad. I'll take these out. So Tora had a phobia of plastic things when she was young, and it was an irrational phobia. It was anything made of plastic, so traffic cones and kids' toys, tricycles, whatever was lying around on the road, she couldn't cope with. So for her, it was a case of we just had to avoid and exist near these things until she slowly just got used to it and got over it and struck up the courage to go and give things a sniff. It took time, took a long time, but that's what we did. I did try that, I'll go up to it and sit next to it for a bit. And that worked for one. It took her about 40 minutes before she got brave enough to come up and sniff it. But it's a long time. Not everyone can just sit there and do that with their dog for that amount of time. And it depends what the object is. So if with vehicle fears, not that I've ever had a vehicle fear, it's just a case of just past them enough distance. Eventually they kind of get used to it through basic operant conditioning.
Gotcha. Yeah, and stuff like that, I don't think I would really handle it all that differently. You know, it's because at that point you're kind of playing the waiting game with it, where it's like I need you to come around to this thing. That's, you know, I know this is irrational. You're not really thinking this. This is not a. It's just kind of in you. You don't really have a choice over how you know, like my fear of heights. Like I don't have any choice of that. I'm just afraid of heights. Like what am I supposed to do about that? You know. But I have to be the one to go up there and like, you know, and I have like I can go higher than I used to, but I confronted that.
Which was voluntary.
It's still a line I don't want to cross, and it's like if I don't have to, I'm not going to do it. You know. But let's see. No, I hear you, Delta. I think we're just going to wrap it up, but I hear you, man. I appreciate everybody joining. I mean, it was Peter, it was a great conversation.
Thank you.
Man. Thank you for your time. Do you have any?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. If you want to tell people where to find you, or you know,
yeah, you can find me on YouTube under my business name, Partners in Canine. You can find me on Facebook, same name, Partners in Canine. Yep.
Wonderful. All right, everybody, thank you so much, Pete. I appreciate your time. It was a great conversation.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome, and I'm sure we'll talk soon. And have a good night. Okay,
sure.
Everybody, thank you.
Thank you. Catch you later, folks.
Thank you, Pete.